defensive or an aggressive position, either way, the performance is going to be stellar.
You mentioned the pitch. You mentioned the entire place they're going to be playing in. Let's see which map we're going to be going to. So again, a best of 3 series, unlike what a lot of people have been used to now in Europe. Put that map ban up on the screen and go through it real quick to get into game. So we'll be ready for it. There it is. G2 starting first with the Oregon ban, Villa, Theme Park, Consulate are our first 2 maps picked by G2 and BDS. Coastline banned by G2, Clubhouse, the last ban for BDS, as they go for Cafe as the decider. Hap, I see you just holding yourself for some reason. What's going on?
This is a very BDS, like statistically, BDS won the map veto, right?
What? Even Theme Park?
Theme Park hasn't been played by either of them.
Terrible.
Right? So I already said it before. G2 will most likely be picking Theme Park, but if you're looking at Consulate, G2 played it once, they won it. BDS played it 4 times, they won it 3 times, they drew it once. And if we're looking at Cafe, G2 played it twice, won once, drew. BDS played it 4 times and won all 4 of them. So overall, I would say BDS is the team that is really in control right here. But we know that G2 always has something up their sleeves, and they might be able to, as they bring Theme Park out first, get really spicy here.
I guess my main curiosity there boils down to the fact that the opening ban for G2 was against Oregon. Now, if anybody knows the man, the myth, the legends behind the G2 Brainwave, which is obviously Shas and Sewer, they are playing 5D chess at the same time as every other board game possible. They know what they're doing. It is never a situation to go, this seems like a bad decision, because they make unbelievably calculated risks. In the same breath, you look at Oregon as the only map that BDS lost throughout the season twice. They were happy to go back there, and it was often one that was left in the ban pool quite late. So it was a consistent happy to return there. And yet G2 wanted to remove it almost instantly. They didn't want to risk it and didn't want to play it. So whether it's a map of preference, whether it's a hiding strategies, whether it's something that they just don't want to roll in, I guess for me, that's the kind of chin scratcher of what is it about Oregon that they don't like so much that they don't want to take BDS there.
All right, Theme Park, expectations real quick, Hap.
Considering G2 will most likely be starting on the defense, I think a 7-4 would be the opening score.
BDS,
for G2, that is.
BDS are a very good Theme Park team. I've seen them play a couple of times before this. Obviously, they didn't really get a full taste of it, and it was a bit of a taster in the EOC, was their Theme Park run. I think we might see a bit of surprise from them.
There it is. 70% public votes for G2, 30% for BDS. By the way, you can all go and vote on these matches on social media at R6 Esports, at R6 Esports EU. This is where I get all that information. Hashtag R6 EUL if you would like to interact with us on stream and have your PG-13 tweet displayed on the screen. Though, what do we think about all of this? Because let's be honest, we were kind of all wrong in the last one. So let's go for full predictions. Here we are. G2. Fluke!
Okay, listen.
Why?
My reasoning. A, I think both teams are capable of taking this. But B, if we all just pick the same team every time, it's going to be boring. Take some risks, guys. If we had taken
and no
risks,
one's going to beat Hap in that process.
Yeah, but if we had taken risks,
I like how it's
Ace of Pyrite, 100%.
Yeah, it's accuracy rogue. No.
This wrong because
incorrect.
P won.
Hey,
It's
so
0%.
Hey, so you doing these
0%.
stats?
Ace should be 0%.
He's staying very silent. This is like a very it's a very accusatory Brady bunch as I look up at you there and think you're cheating.
Wait a second.
I just feel attacked right now.
Let's just all look at Ace.
So you damn well should.
I just feel attacked. There's a lot of pressure coming in on me here. I feel uncomfortable. I was wrong in the first map. Our man's up first. Pro came out very strong. Am I going to be wrong here? G2, I stand by it at the minute. I think that BDS are aggressive, but I think G2's experience might just win the bit.
All right, I guess it's time to kick it over to Des and Ace. A lot of people have been waiting for this duo to be back. It's been since SI that we've seen you casting official big games. So you know what? Go ahead. Theme Park is where this series starts, and it's BDS G2. All yours. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milos. Ace, it's been a long time. Where have you been?
I've been in LATAM. That's where I've been, Des. I've been spending a lot of time in and out of Brazil. from my bedroom, of course. I haven't actually been there, but what a lot of fun I've had. But that said, absolutely thrilled to be back in EU. Absolutely thrilled to be back next to you, Des.
Oh, my man, I was going to say, despite the tan you've been collecting over there in Brazil, the sun is still bouncing off that head like a gleaming star in the night. I love it. Speaking of stars, this is going to be one for the history books. This game right now is one of those matchups that we say has got history dating back since BDS first made it through Challenger League. When I think about a rivalry for either of these two teams, I look at these two. These are the ones you really want to see facing off. And what a map to start things off. Theme Park, a map that both teams have banned away all season long. The last time one of them played it was BDS back in Pro League Season 11 against Chaos, and they got slapped there 7-2. Completely understandable why they'd ban it away. So this is all fresh, ladies and gentlemen. Get yourself buckled in, because I have zero doubt both teams are taking us for a wild ride.
That's the one thing that we can guarantee, is that one way or another, I'm not even scared to make that guarantee. This is going to be an exciting game. I'm on the edge of my seat already. It's going to be unbelievable. We've got Thatcher coming in immediately, no major surprises there. G2's attacking ban will be Maverick. So whilst the map itself might be a surprise, operator bans are largely following the pattern that we would expect at the minute.
The thing that worries me somewhat about this map, and it has made it through, so I'm not feeling too bad for G2, is that attacking on Theme Park, a lot of teams in Europe, the main reason why it's been banned away so much is that teams regard it as almost impossible to be able to attack onto. You're very lucky if you walk away with even a single round. And one of the responses to that we've seen a lot of teams speaking about is saying, well, things like Monty, you just strong arm your way and take control of rooms like Cash that you need to really start staging an attack, and things aren't looking so bad. If you want an example of how that's worked out this season, go back and look at Na'Vi versus Tempera. Not right now, of course, do it later. But looking at that, Tempera could not get a shoe-in on the attack. Na'Vi very, very good at shutting them down. So when I think of a team that can respond, I think of G2, I think of that Monty. We'll see if they choose to bring it out here in round number 1.
Talking about attacking on Theme Park, Des, we've seen a lot of Theme Park over in LATAM, so it's a map that I'm quite familiar with. And we saw, by contrast, the defenders struggling a little bit on a lot of sites here. And part of the reason for that, part of the thing that makes it difficult to defend here is multiple angles. Very, very important. I remember a couple of rounds where Team Liquid particularly struggled attacking onto Armory and Throne, and it's because they were opening just the one reinforced wall, the one that's on the Dragon Stairs side of sight. They were opening that one wall and trying to filter in through one location. And the real success that we've seen a lot of the time is where those attacks have come from multiple angles. So that's something that I'd like to see out of the attackers here today, potentially. Attacking onto a site like this, Bunk and Daycare. To give everybody an idea who maybe hasn't seen too much of Theme Park, what are we expecting to see? Generally, you'll see a push coming in from the east side. The attackers are going to try and get themselves established on the top floor. They're going to sweep across, thank you very much, Easy. And they're going to move from this at the bottom of your screen now up towards the top, and they're going to clear out utility and operators as they go. But it never hurts to put a bit of pressure on from that cafe side as well, and just give the defenders and multiple angles to consider. Don't allow them to feel comfortable.
Well, back in our home of the UK, I remember seeing it come out a couple of times in the UK Nationals. I remember Joe, one of the players back in that league, trying to force the way through Cafe and very often struggling to do so, which means that you can very quickly be isolated into a 4 versus, well, it's a 4-man push in one direction in that case. Whether that's against 4 or against 5 is entirely down to the success of the player coming out of Cafe, but I completely agree with you. It's all about those multiple angles of attack. It has been one of our greatest criticisms of many teams across EU and APAC this season, is that if you're going in through one direction, it is far too easy for the defenders to set up a bunch of crossfires and simply wait for you to push through the door. So completely agree with you there, Ace.
Right now, we can see the defenders have got themselves set up. Ilems is going to be heading out towards... He's playing in a clever spot at the minute. He's playing near the vending machines. And what he's doing here is he's allowing himself the flexibility. So if the call comes that it's a 5-man push coming in from that east side, he can get there very quickly. But he's also very conscious of that cafe door and the potential for a push to come in through there. Now, the reason Ilems is particularly important here on the defensive side is that Montagna that they thought might be brought, but has been switched out. Not available, not brought along in this round. Now, Clash can deal with the Montagne solely on their own because the electricity still impacts through that shield. So whether that's been part of the thought process there of let's not bother with the Monty for the time being, let's just go for that direct push and open walls up, because the clash is on the board, that could well be a counterplay coming in at the operator selection stage.
You've also got the IQ Citizen playing downstairs, calling out where those ADSs are, where the magnets are, where the jammers were earlier on. He was underneath Cafe and has now moved himself across. The team clearly feel they've got the tools ready to start pushing in here through one of these two angles. You're either going to push down the main hallway, you're going in towards office, or you may look down towards control in the south. So a bit of a spread coming out of G2, as you would understandably expect, but it looks like the plant focus is going to be through control and coming into initiation, as that is where Pengu is holding down. The rest kind of serve as a flank watch, making sure no one's coming charging back into initiation, or just trying to make sure that Pengu isn't going to get contested through someone running in behind him. First kill of this matchup, though, goes the way of Renshiro. Kanto taken down.
Big loss to start with. That will be the sledge off the board, potentially utility going along with it as well. But G2, they managed to answer back with a kill, and just as big a kill onto Bride, and that now leaves us 4 versus 4. G2 making good progress. They've got themselves established in initiation and will be starting to open things up. Virtue just about escaping the natural with the skin of his teeth, but Renshiro follows it right up with a double. Huge kills from him, 2 headshots, that's 3 on the round. And he right now is decimating G2 single-handedly.
Oh my
Pengu
God.
moves in. This could not be an opening round ace once again. Surely not. Will it be? No, Shaiko comes in and gets that final kill onto Citizen Des. I thought we were seeing it again. I thought it was Rampy all over.
For those who don't know, Ace and I stepped up to cast the very first game of 6 Invitational 2020, Na'Vi versus SSG, round number 1 in Clubhouse. Rampy gets an 8, and we were like, what? So as we saw double kill, triple kill, quadra kill stepping up across the screen, it felt like a repeat. But no, Shaiko, the little rat, gets in behind and takes away the final kill. Speaking of Shaiko, he has had a pretty quiet season overall. I believe he's only sat at about a +5 KD. And everyone's been asking, where is he? What's happened to him? Especially after Bride settled down. In the first 3 or 4 weeks, Bride was, I believe, on like a 2.0 rating or something daft. He was decimating everyone as a smoke main, and Shaiko was nowhere to be seen. Everyone thinking, oh, well, Bride's doing all the work. There's no reason for Shaiko to need to step up. But as the season has worn on, and as BDS have come up against tougher competition, you are beginning to wonder, where is that fragging god that we all got used to seeing on the BDS side?
And really, I could paint a similar picture, Des. We spoke about this yesterday. Paint a similar picture on both sides. We've got Kanto on the side of G2, and we've got Shaiko on the side of BDS. And I would argue at points over the season, they've both had times whereby they've not maybe delivered up to the level that we would have expected from them given previous performances. Kanto had a great start to the season, and I think he's still one of the best players in the world. Absolutely no question about it. Fantastic player. I think what we've seen over time is a lot of other players around him get better than when he first came onto the scene. And so I think, you know, he's less sort of head and shoulders above the rest, but is still very, very much at the top of his game and the top of Siege. But what we found is when Kanto's had a bad day and he's not necessarily got as many kills as he might usually do, he's been shut down a little bit. G2 have struggled a little bit in those games, and they've not always got the result that they then would have hoped for. You know, they do have other fraggers on the board. Of course, Citizen can step up. Virtue, very, very capable. Uno, we know, you know, they could be labelled as a team of fraggers, but I think what G2 are really looking to become is a team of flex players. They are looking to become the ultimate flex team for me.
Well, don't forget, last year we had this conversation around when Na'Vi sprung onto the scene, formerly known as M&M Gaming, and saying they are a team of 5 very capable players. It is no longer okay to only have 1 or 2 star players. You need 5 capable fraggers, and Na'Vi really rode that wave last year of having an excellent team that can do it. G2 almost taking a similar approach, but rather than taking players from roles and turning them into fraggers and enabling them, it's more like you've got 5 fraggers and then they're now trying to fit them all into roles. So it's a work in progress in reverse to what we saw last year. Completely get the methodology, but as we all know, these things take time. The big question is, how much time do they really need? Anyway, 1:40 in, or 1:40 left, I should say. Not really much going on so far. More of the vertical work going on from the sledge. Attempted C4, nothing to be found by Renshiro, who's on that pulse, as you would expect. trying to help his team find kills with those C4s. Brede still has one in the back pocket, but G2 doing well to get this vertical work done, start setting themselves up for the execute, and look at the drone work going into Drug Lab right now. They are scared that someone was lurking around. They still think someone's there. Maybe they think a Lem's lurking around in this vigil somewhere. Well, they would be wrong as he is on site.
You know, we've had discussions about G2's droning as well, and it's nice to see that they are bang on top of it. We've got Pengu and Uno just jumping back in the drones once again. Then they're really trying to get a feel for where these BDS players are. They're trying to gain every drop, every ounce of information that they can here before they execute to what can be a difficult site. And this is the one that I was speaking about beforehand, Armory Throne particularly. Multiple angles does really help here. As we can see, we've got 5 defenders turtled inside. If you end up pushing from just one wall, that can be very difficult. And Kantor's going to come out with a really good opening entry frag there. That's going to take Wamai off the board, so they are now limited to any magnets that are left in place. We can see there is still a couple active, and the west wall is open from barrels. But right now, G2, they don't look in too much of a position to be pushing directly into sight here.
It's the timing and nothing else as well. The opening kill at 40 seconds. There's 9 men left on the board and 15 seconds to go. This is going to be an absolute bloodbath. The Kali narrowly missing a shot onto the Bandit. He's going to find himself down on the ground. Not even the Bandit, sorry, what am I talking about? It's the Jaeger. Either way, he's going to get himself domed in response. And here we go as they burst into the site. It's a 3 versus 1 as fast as you can blink. G2 in full control. Renshiro by himself behind the throne. I feel this one's a little bit too far gone for him, unfortunately. G2 with an excellent execute there in the dying seconds. And this is what they come to be renowned for, I think. Although we say their drone work at times has been questionable, the number of times I've seen them on maps like Cafe and Clubhouse having no drones left in the final 10 seconds of a round, it's painful. And here they have most of them left alive. But one thing you can never count G2 out on is their execution, because that just there was a prime example of what they can do when you give them space.
And very good signs for the G2 fans out there as well, that they've managed to just push into a difficult site, largely from one direction, and basically just win the gunfights. And it comes down to that similar discussion we had around Rogue and Virtus Pro, that, you know, really that's coming down to sort of the player ability and the player form on the day. That's not necessarily about having a great push or, you know, a great strategical decision on the attack. That was just going in and winning gunfights. And that is going to stand G2 in good stead. But, of course, we have had BDS do exactly the same in round 1. And if the first 2 rounds have done anything for me, Des, I don't know about you, but they have served to just excite me further, because both teams have come out with a great round each, put it on the board, and I already get the feeling that we are going to see a large majority of 36 rounds, if not more, here.
Well, you and I earlier were speaking, and we said we love a third map that goes to overtime, because it feels like if it gets that far, it's what a series really deserves. The teams are 1-on-1. They've shown their strengths and weaknesses across both of those former maps, and the third one needs to go the full distance to show what it can really do. Coming into this round, 3 C4s on the side of BDS. We said 2 in the last round. None of them really looking to connect, though. I'm hoping here, with the fact that defending an upstairs site, there's going to be some form of hold coming out downstairs, or at least a late round rotate, to be keeping an eye out on where the Goyo and the Pulse are especially. They're the ones who I'm looking to have a massive impact in the dying moments of a round.
Gotta love a vertical nitro, gotta love those players. It's something that we're seeing more and more of recently, and it's, you know, certainly nothing new. It's been around since sort of day 1 in Siege, but just that utilization of that verticality and getting those nitros and the aggression we're seeing with it now. We're often seeing 2-3 nitros brought along, and I'm here for it. I absolutely love it. I find it really exciting watching that play develop, and it also brings out then potentially those bottom floor clearances where you get those big gunfights as well. And right now, Lems, he's just trying to keep himself hidden away from those drones. He's going to wriggle himself into any corner he can find just to keep himself off the radar and potentially look to deny any plant attempt as it goes down. He's just going around clearing drones, moving around, keeping himself unpredictable. Right now, they've droned him in Armory Throne, but do they know that he's now in Drug Lab? It's all this game of cat and mouse, and we can see G2, they are filtering themselves in very quickly from that east side. But again, Pengu, Virtue, straight in drones. Love to see it.
It's exactly, I love to see it indeed. It's exactly the same as back in round number 1, although it was the bunk and daycare site. Rather than initiation, the same focus is coming in here. Get on the top floor, get control of control, look towards pushing on the north side and towards office at the same time, and away you go. So here, for me, the big thing I'm watching out for is how quickly they can get inside of this room. We are down to about 1 minute and 10 seconds on the clock. You haven't got tons of time left here, but you've got to start thinking about that plan. Pengu being down towards the south screams it's the same once more. I touched on the drone work earlier on. They've committed quite a few now. Only 4 left alive. Virtue's running around in the middle of the side, as you can see. So my biggest concern is whether or not they stay alive for long enough. And actually, that drone is on the downstairs. If they have enough drones to know where these operators are stepping around to, Shaiko and LM still holding up towards Cafe together. But it's the 2 on site they've got to worry about in the short term, Tim.
Citizen very important downstairs. He's feeding that information that Pengu is safe to approach the wall. He's now trying to just seek out that pulse and try to shut down LMs. Pengu's going to open things up with a kill onto Bride, who's been quiet so far today. Shaiko will get one for himself, but here goes the G2 execute, and here goes Kanto Rakete. Huge double, and the diffuser goes down and active at the same time. And this one is swinging quickly in the favour of G2. Renshiro and LMs have it all to do here. 2 versus 4 and have to retake site. Make that 1 versus 4 as Citizen gets his man and shuts down LMs. But Renshiro, certainly the man of the day so far, gets himself the first of 4 that he's going to need. And it's the shield that will be his undoing as the sledge of Kanto Rakete pops up and ends the round. G2, they find themselves with a 1-round advantage.
That was just all purpose coming out of G2. BDS, almost a little bit too passive, I want to say. The pulse lurking downstairs for far too long. Shaiko holding out towards Cafe. It's almost like they were scared that later into the round there was going to be a flank coming in through Cafe. That meant the site was left high and dry. Bride all by himself along with the player that was on the Wamai. And before you know it, G2 have rushed their way and they've got the plant down. Kanto is fragging every single fool who dares to try and peek him, and things look a little bit too simple. And looking back at the last time these two played on Clubhouse back in the regular stage of EUL, it was all about retakes for BDS. They didn't seem to have a massive problem with letting G2 take control of sites and plant, because they were all about the late round push upstairs, going below and dropping out C4s, and disrupting G2 once they got themselves in a commanding position. A little bit questionable, you might say, and if that was the game plan in that round, I would argue it absolutely is questionable. We need to see them being willing to contest G2 earlier in these rounds. Otherwise, there's going to be plant after plant after plant going down, and G2 will walk out ahead on the attacking half.
Yeah, we've seen Pengu put up some serious numbers in terms of getting that diffuser down so far in the first stage of EUL. And as you said, Des, that will continue if it is allowed to. Now, we're heading back to bunk and daycare for round 4. And the area that we're looking at right now, thank you, Easy, the vault is somewhere that needs to be dealt with by G2. There is absolutely no question. This is where I say the potential for a little bit of attention coming in through Cafe could be helpful, because of course there are soft walls that move from each side, Cafe into vault, and the shots that could rain in through there could well be decisive, because Renshiro on that Goyo proved to be an absolute nightmare last time around from vault. Picked himself up a 4K and pretty much held the G2 offensive off single-handedly. So G2, they seriously need to consider how they are going to deal with that. They can't just rinse and repeat what they did last time, because there is too much utility being stacked up there to keep Renshiro active. And how about that from Shaiko? Huge opening headshot onto Kanto Rakete.
Well, that's what he does best, and it was the same story on Clubhouse when they last played. If you give Shaiko too much room, he is going to tear you a new one. Whether it was 2 kills or 3 kills on Clubhouse, he basically ended rounds all by himself. He was the game winner for BDS in many ways, even in the final round. Back when it looked like they were due to go to a draw and have it 6-6, no. Shaiko steps up from construction, walks through into gym and bedroom and finds 3 kills. What more can you really ask for? And we spoke about how quiet it's been. Sometimes just bringing down the guy who's having a field day on the other side can be enough to win a round.
Right now we can see Pengu moving in. He's going to get that exothermic charge placed. He's looking to breach, and this just goes to show what I was saying, basically the pressure that needs to be applied towards Renshiro in vault. Step 1 complete. Get that office wall open, so now you've potentially got a number of angles that he can be challenged from. You've got the single door there from the connector, you've got the breach now, you've got the single door from bathroom, and whilst largely in the same direction, it does just create that doubt in the mind of Renshiro. And in goes the drone from Uno. That is going to confirm 100% that Renshiro is lodged. He is ready to fight from that vault, and he's going to fight to the death. And The next challenge that comes in could be very
C4,
important, but
Pengu!
huge C4 onto Pengu. Diffuser down. No more exothermic charges. Uno shuts down Renshiro, but will the cost be too high?
Looks like it might be as a kill comes across from the dock on the other side. A new entrant into this game for the side of BDS. They are the ones in full control. Citizen doing his role downstairs, just like back in round number 1. He's all about the gadget detection. He's all about pointing out to his team what's going on, basically being a bit of a shot caller for them. But unfortunately, when there is no team left alive upstairs, the only person you're shot calling yourself to is your teammates beyond the grave. This round should be done and dusted. A really good defense coming out of BDS, and I like how aggressive they were with the defenses. Playing across both sides with the dock. You had the C4 sat inside of the vault, as we saw coming out of Renshiro, and they've wasted so much time. G2 couldn't do the simple task of even dealing with that Goyo shield that was sat inside a vault, didn't have enough grenades between them, got peeked out when they tried to go for it, got C4'd. Very good aggressive defense coming out of BDS, and a 10 times improvement on what we saw on initiation in the previous round.
3 kills there coming into G2, all on that bathroom door. As soon as that nitro hit, it just shows how valuable it was. The Diffuser went down on the ground, Pengu off the board, and then they just shut down one after another as they went in and tried to collect the little briefcase, Des, that they all needed. They just completely shut them down. Good round from BDS, gets them back on the board, but my concern for the French team here is if they can only get the wins defensively up in Bunk and Daycare and they don't manage to get one of these other sites, and there are 3 other viable sites here on Theme Park. That is the thing. All the sites here are viable in their own way. Lab and Storage does tend to be the sort of lesser used site, but still
The true offsite,
but still reasonably viable. And there are options here for BDS, and they need to be picking up at least the secondary sites, if not a tertiary as well. They can't go 4-2 behind heading onto the attack, because that is a real roll of the dice on Theme Park.
It's absolutely true. They need to fix something here in these next 2 rounds, and I'm not quite sure what more they can do other than do what worked for them in the last round, which is being willing to play aggressive and stack up against G2. Don't let them get any kind of entry in towards office or in towards control or into control room, then down into initiation on the south. That worked well for them last round. They've shown that even when it isn't the site they're defending, they can hold those locations. So rinse and repeat, do the same thing once more. Key change in this round, LM's going across from playing on the dock to being on the Legion instead. Might just serve as a bit of an early warning system. They can put that up towards Cafe, and although you no longer get the markers, it's still the fact that Shaiko should be a little bit freer then to step away from having to hold Cafe and be willing instead to help his team on site a little bit more, because last round, he was basically useless. G2, time after time, have come from cash. That's where the focus has got to be.
Interesting little stat so far. The round every time Des has gone to the team who open things up with the entry kill. They have managed to take that advantage and go and squeeze every drop they could from it to take the round following it. So the entry battle at the minute is something for you to watch out for at home. Who is winning it? How are they winning it? Where is that aggression coming from? Because right now it has been decisive so far in this matchup. We can see that there is a large top floor hold coming in for initiation, and that is a big opener for Rafal there onto Pengu. Diffuser goes down, but Kanto comes in and goes crazy with a big double kill, finding Rafal and Shaiko, and that will give access to that Diffuser back to G2. They'll be able to get in and get that picked up safely, and that could be a huge play from the talisman of Kanto.
That was a man in Pengu who knows no fear to rappel inside and get yourself into the back corner. Like, you know, absolutely, BDS are going to hear that you've come in for that. So fair enough, this is a risk, massive risk coming up, but still manages to find it and walks away alive. How does Alems pull that off? He's even managed to get himself back through the building without being cut down on the re-entry. Beautiful stuff, and that is a massive player to remove. Uno holding on the window, helping to provide some cover, sitting on the drones. That is going to be no more in this round.
3 versus 2 though. G2 still find themselves with the advantage. Big risk from Alems, but the reward was certainly evident, and he collected it in full as he managed to just get BDS back within touching distance here in this round. But he takes big shots of damage in the control room there as he tries to push in, and right now Virtue is getting that Diffuser down on the ground as well. That is going to make things doubly hard now. G2, they don't even allow for time. Citizen and Kanto saying, we don't need that Diffuser activated. They don't need a post plant. They're just going to shut things down right here and give G2 the advantage.
Oh dear, oh dear. That's 3 rounds on the attack. Again, a map in Europe, so many teams are banned away because they see it as one of the most difficult to attack onto. It's a little bit one-dimensional for some teams, but G2 are making it look easy. And I think this is the curse that BDS stepped into today. They ban Villa away 24/7. That is not going to help you in a best of 3 because everyone knows your first map ban is going to be Villa. They can then make the choice. Do we play our stronger map or do we play the map that we see BDS being incredibly weak on and being afraid to play? This map was one of them. Theme Park was a map that they have refused to play all throughout and got very lucky in that many of the teams don't want to either. But today it's coming back to bite them. And I worry how dominant G2 are going to look on the attack. It could be an absolute crushing here on Theme Park.
It was, again, one of the things, I'm like, referring to things that we've discussed before, Andes, but obviously, we get our heads together. We like to get our story straight and we like to sort of just have a really good think and break down what we're likely to see. And I commented that just predictability in the map bans for BDS could well come back to bite them because, like you say, that Villa and Theme Park, they are the two that they ban out. And so that likely the first ban coming in from them is going to be Villa or Theme Park. Villa has been a good map for G2, so you start looking at it and thinking, well, the BDS really have a choice there. So now B2 have just got a huge leg up, and that is a problem with having a predictable set of map bans. And really, I think BDS need to vary that.
Did you say B2 have got a massive leg up?
No, G2.
It's a B2. I was like, oh, that's it. They're merging together now, boys. It's a
Imagine the
super
mega team that could be created.
It would be absolutely terrifying. And I guess looking back at the last time these guys played, I believe it when we saw them at 6 Invitational, the last big best of 3 we saw them playing. Interestingly, they have played more best of 3s against each other. They've had 4. Then they have best of 1s. They've only had 3. So these two teams should be relatively familiar with each other when it comes to this kind of setting. But back at the 6 Invitational, it was 7-5 to G2 on Villa, and then 7-4 coming onto Cafe for them once more, leading into a 2-0. And that is one of the only times that we have seen Villa being played by BDS. The other time was in Pro League Season 11 in March. They played it against Na'Vi and lost 7-4. So every now and then they do bring it out of the wardrobe and they do go, you know what, let's try this one on for size and see how we deliver today. It just never quite works out. So it's something you have to be aware of, I think, as a team coming up against BDS. But you've got a 99% chance that it's absolutely not going to make it in.
I like to see here in round 6, back on Armory, that BDS have just extended themselves a little bit. They've got a couple of roamers out there this time. Alems is out on the Vigil. We've got Shaiko out on the Jaeger. And I think that's something that they were lacking last time around. When we came into that final stage of the round, although G2 had to push into difficult circumstances, they certainly had the manpower to do it. And they've not really been hassled throughout the round. They were able to set up. They were able to push from the areas that they wanted to without too much of a threat. And that is the sort of threat that is needed. Renshiro shutting down Kanto Rakete with the vertical nitro there, just putting that pulse to maximum effect, bringing out the gadget and doing the business that he has been brought along to do. And right now, that puts G2 on the back foot, and that is exactly the start that BDS needed on this defense. And right now, they could just do with a Lems or Shaiko just stepping up on that roamer. Lems has headed himself back into sight, but Shaiko's still out there, and if he can pick up a kill or two on the flank here, it could be a really big moment in the round for BDS.
Oh, why did Lems not get down there? He got shot by the Kali, I think, but didn't go down from that one. He was stepping up to try and impact Trick onto this exothermic, which is going to open the wall up. A little bit comfortable for them, and I agree with you. Shaiko's the one who needs to come up big for them at the later stages in this round. Renshiro, I've got to say, though, all game long he has been fishing for one of those C4 kills. Give him a t-shirt that says the most patient fisherman going, because that was a long game that he's played for there. It could turn out, once again, mind you, to be the most critical kill. Kanto being the first one to go down. Virtue and Pengu stepping up and actually catching Shaiko on the rotate back towards site. Not quite sure that was the play, Chief. Not going to lie.
BDS need Shaiko to be more effective, and that is one thing they are lacking at the moment, is that threat from the roam, that threat on the flanks. G2 just don't seem to be feeling it. Pengu getting that diffuser down once again. It was something coming in you suggested we might see, Des, and we are seeing plenty of it. Ooh. Diffuser activated once again. Renshiro fighting tooth and nail, but put into an early grave by Virtue on the Kali. Does not miss this time. Puts him down and finishes the round, and that's going to be G2 taking an advantage after the first half.
It's exactly as we called it. The only site they have won is Bunk and Daycare. They have lost Initiation both times. They've lost Armory Throne both times. This is not looking good, because now you're going into the attacking side on a map that you've barely played. Maybe you've scrimmed it a few times. The G2 have chosen to come into this with a pick on. They are prepared coming into the attack. They are going to be even more prepared coming into the defense. We're going to kick things off downstairs, Armory and Throne. And interestingly, BDS doing what I thought we'd see coming out of G2, a Monty pick of all things to kick things off.
Yeah, I mean, G2 choosing not to bring the shield along, and it hasn't really done them any harm at all. Rafal will bring it, and we'll see how that plays out. There is no clash on the side of G2 on the defense, so it's certainly going to be a question. How do they deal with that Montagna? As I was saying previously, the electricity of Clash does damage Monty through his shield, so she's a perfect direct counter to him because you can just face off shield to shield, and ultimately the Clash is going to win over time and can do some serious damage quite quickly. But that is not going to be a tool that is at the disposal of G2 this time around. I'm looking towards those nitros. I'm looking towards those impact nades potentially, and boy, have we got a lineup crammed with them. There's explosive are plenty on the side of G2.
IP4F shift. It's my birthday. I'm having a great day because G2, yada, yada, yada. You know what, mate? You're having a better birthday than Leon, of that much I can guarantee you. So, fair enough.
Happy
Stepping
birthday.
into it and looking good.
I won't just follow it with yada, yada, yada. Well, at least say happy birthday to the guy.
That is true. We would sing for you as well, but sadly not. In fact, that's a lie. Ace can sing wonderfully sometimes, but I'll spare you. The wonderful dulcet tones would reverberate through your ears and instead focus a bit more on the game. Renshiro picks up Kanto. I tell you what, Kanto, the first couple of rounds look fantastic, but he has really struggled in the last 4 or 5 rounds.
He's certainly been trying to just have those explosive starts to the round for G2 here. Out on the Vigil, he's really gone for that opening kill, but that is a really big pickup for BDS. We know how difficult Vigil can be, and we talk about this time and time again, that he's quite a selfish operator in some ways, and that's certainly not to call Kanto selfish. What I mean by that is that he doesn't bring any utility that really supports the team beyond the reinforcements that he brings along with him. His important task is to get out there and first of all waste time, and second of all get a kill or two. That is what Vigil needs to contribute, and whereby that doesn't happen, it is a little bit of a loss of utility for the team. And that's exactly what we've seen there. By him getting picked up in the first 15-20 seconds, that is a tough start for G2, and you have to look at that operator pick and say, well, you know, at least if somebody else had been brought along, there would be sighted, you know, utility in sight that would be helping the team. There would be, you know, numerous other options there, but tough start for Kanto in the last couple of rounds.
It's a lot of setup and scouting work being done by BDS here. You can see Rafal still being sat outside for about 90 seconds. He was sat on the drones for the most part. Finally, the machine is going to be called into action. Monty is in the building. Now, where they choose to push from most likely looks to be maintenance. Probably going to have a focus on trying to get this wall open. It can be a bit of a tough job, especially given you've got Uno sitting nearby waiting to try and do some work. They have grenades on Renshiro if they do want to go chucking those over to try and destroy whatever is on the other side, whether it's living or mechanical. It's just about the timing piece. There comes that frag grenade I was thinking about. That should clear things out for them. Now they should be able to get the wall open.
No major problems there, but we do have Pengu lurking around, potentially thinking about an impact trick when this charge is detonated. We'll see if he's successful. Yes, he will be. One exothermic charge down, going to come in for a second one. I'm not sure. I'm guessing with Pengu moving away there, he doesn't have... Oh, he does! And what a throw! Unbelievable from Pengu. I thought he dropped away because he didn't have another grenade to hand, but he certainly did, and that is going to keep the thermite out, and that could be pivotal in this round, because what he's just done is he has forced BDS to move through a single doorway. They are now funneled on this push with 20 seconds left to go. They are looking to move in behind Rafal, and right now BDS look like they might be out of ideas. And let me tell you, BDS, the only idea that you've got is to just push forward and do whatever you can. They try to get the diffuser down. They will be unsuccessful as Virtue goes absolutely wild with the shotgun, and that is 3 huge kills for him. That's gonna be round going towards G2. It doesn't matter, these are impactless kills, surely. Oh, that was close. Just as I was calling them impactless, I'm thinking, hang on a minute, there's half a second left.
What was that round?
Insane.
What was that round?
Well played from G2. That Pengu won them that round. It was a pivotal moment. That second impact trick from the back of sight, that was a baseball pitch of a throw, straight on the money. Took the exothermic charge, and as we saw, that's what happens. They had to then BDS funnel through that single door, and it was just lambs to the slaughter for Virtue with that shotgun.
The unbelievable thing is, you and I have sat in customs for quite a while and played around with positionings of impact tricks, of where thermite charges go. When they're tucked in the bottom corner like that, they aren't the easiest to destroy. And yes, it was directly above. The fact that he managed to land it so precisely, it didn't get caught on the ceiling or the little bit that juts down, didn't get caught on the wall. That's a man who has done plenty of practice, I imagine, in throwing those impacts around. He's like the David Beckham of Siege and getting them balls in the right place. Wonderful stuff, keeps the wall closed, and there are no angles for them to play off on the attack. That puts us at 5-2. 2 more rounds, and G2 will be off to a thunderous start to kick off the EU Major.
I think it's only fair to give a little bit of a shout out to Easy there as well. What great capture we had of that moment. It was absolutely beautiful observing. So big shout out.
Don't get me started, because I will sit here happily for minutes and shill Easy to the nth degree. He said himself, I don't necessarily agree with him, but he said coming into the start of EUL and APAC, he was like, you know, actually, I was really bad back in week 1, but the pace at which he has leveled up and the level of observing we now receive from him, honestly, it sounds bad. I couldn't distinguish between him and Medics. They are both absolutely phenomenal. We are blessed to have them covering games like this. So thank you very much to both of you for the wonderful work that you do.
Oh, it's top
That's
tier.
my 30-second shield done.
Top tier, absolutely no question. We've had a couple of moments like that. The Nitro onto Pengu, we had beautiful footage of, and then the impact near toss that we've just seen there as well. Now, looking back towards the matter at hand, round 8, Renshiro comes in. 3rd opening kill on a row for Renshiro. Will take Uno down this time, and that's going to be the Oryx off the board, and that's a shame because Oryx is an operator we don't always see too much of, but I think can potentially have real value on the roam. Just having that extra rotation option of the hatches, as long as he's careful about how he does it. But right now, Citizen's being bullied on the smoke as well, and he's going to have to take a long route away from danger.
I was going to say, he's not getting bullied, he's doing the bullying. Like, when do you ever see a smoke running through Gong and trying to find kills? Unbelievable that he's playing so aggressive, but he knows where they're pushing from. And playing behind the smoke, I guess he feels pretty comfortable in what he can achieve with it. The big question here is how much damage he does as BDS try and push him once again. They know the Monty's likely back on field again. The calls probably come through. They know what they're facing up against. BDS will do all the scouting work. Monty will enter the building. They'll try and go for a single angle of attack. And by the looks of it, this time around, it's going to be the yellow wall, the double one. Sorry, up towards the north to push in. I was going to say if it was Armory, it would make most sense for that. But they are pushing on the north side regardless. This is that site that we spoke about, is that 4th off site that we don't really see all that often. We've seen it dance in once or twice, but it can be so difficult to defend because of all the walls that surround the site.
Kanto doing a good job of defending so far as he shuts down a Lems on the cafe door, and that is going to prevent some vertical control, at least for the time being. He's just going to hold that position with Capcam 4 as long as possible. Good gun, useful gadget, and an operator that we don't always see too much of, but definitely can have some value in the right situation. Kanto, once again, just holding himself there on that cafe door. Is there going to be another kill for him here? I think it's Shaiko on the Ash that approaches. It is.
Oh,
will be shut down. Citizen will take Renshiro. And this one is surely going in the direction of G2 right now. We've got the Montagne pushing directly into sight. Rafal is going to take some damage from the goo mine, and Breeder will manage to get one onto Kanto. And once again, that roaming smoke is just coming in to put pressure onto the Monty.
A roaming smoke. Never thought I'd see the day, but of course it's Citizen trying to pull that off. Rafal has managed to find his way into the side, and Breeder will have to rotate round to join him on the window. So they've circumvented the pressure that was coming in from the south side, G2 being willing to push back against that one. And given the aggression out of the smoke, a lot of those smokes have now been removed. The angle's being held though, and Breeder will have no such joy. Monty all by himself. Pengu goes, no, 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 no. I know how this plays out. I win these. G2 put themselves at match point 6-2. Unbelievable.
G2 looking terrifying right now. They are so efficient here on Theme Park, and no matter, it's not even necessarily that BDS are making huge mistakes. It's just that G2 are reacting to what is in front of them extremely well, whether that be on attack or defense. They just have an answer to everything, and you've got to ask the question, Des, have they been saving the strats on Theme Park? Is this why it's been banned out? Have they been putting work into this in the background? Because right now, they certainly seem to have a plan A, B, and C for all of the sites.
There are a few teams that have maps that they haven't yet played that you just get the feeling that when they do come out, it's going to be terrifying. And Rogue, Coastline is the one that jumps to mind for me there. They barely banned it away, but teams have always banned it away against them without much evidence to suggest of what they can do on there. And I'm just waiting, given that we're now in best of threes, given you can make that first map pick, part of me comes in to think that we might eventually see them go into that map when a team like, I don't know, BDS is forced to ban away Villa in the first case. So what Rogue choose to bring out, what the other teams choose to bring out through the rest of this tournament, I'm really excited to see what they choose to unveil before us. Bunk and Daycare, the next sites we head into. Do you remember last time round? Pengu, a little bit over the top, should we say, with his repelling towards site, or at least in towards the room down to the south in kitchen. We'll see if the same confident nature shows itself from BDS at the same time. Probably not expecting it. Caution, no doubt, the aim of the game, although in the last round, and in fact the one preceding it, G2 have just bit back very hard against whatever BDS throw at them, no matter where it comes from. Even leading in behind that Monty, they've always had a response. So much so that BDS have now said, you know what, Monty, I think it's time to put him away, to put him to bed for another few rounds, potentially, or bring him out in the next series or the next map. God knows. Either way, will not be making an appearance in here at this map anymore.
I think it's worth just reminding as well at this point, Des, about those head-to-head stats that we've got between G2 and BDS. So they played 7 times previously. G2 currently leading. It's 4 wins, 1 draw, and 2 wins to BDS, or 2 losses to G2, whichever way you want to look at it. But interestingly, in a best-of-3 format, have been 4 of those matches. So a majority have been in best-of-3 format, and G2 are 3-1 in a best-of-3 situation. So they are heavy favourites, historically at least, when getting into a best-of-3. And you've got to see why at the minute. They're just coming in with such a strong start here on Theme Park, and it would appear have done extremely well for themselves right from the map banning phase.
It's almost, I believe it's one of them reasons why you look at G2 and they're just a team that you can't write off. And sure, they had not the most ideal performances at things like 6 Invitational on the OGA Pit Miner back in December. They were kind of write-offs. It's the team still building itself as we're now seeing it form into today. One thing I love about them is, even though they are a team of 5 fraggers, very rarely is there reliance on a given moment in a round where it's like, right, this player or that player's got to step up, else we are done. You can't really say the same about so many other teams, I think, competing in the European League. For these guys, it's all about the strat backline, and then it forms into the players being able to pop on top of it. It just doesn't always yield the super solid results that they want. Here it's going to yield a wonderful kill as Shaiko being removed from the board. That player we spoke about quite a bit earlier on today, the one who's been quiet going throughout most of this season and apparently proceeding even into the major. Citizen with 2 kills, and already it's lights out for BDS. Good night, friends. 2 left alive, and this is all for the map ace.
This is a landslide victory coming in right here. A Citizen gets a kill onto Rafal and leaves us now 1 versus 5. Alems is going to have a reverse sweep ace clutch. He finds the first onto Citizen, but surely it will be impactless as he hunts for more. 45 seconds, and he is shut down by Uno. That is going to be G2 coming out with a hugely strong win on Theme Park. They have absolutely dominated BDS there, completely shutting them down at every single turn. And what a start for G2. They looked electric.
Well, needless to say, we now know why they like banning this away so much. Why BDS is so terrified of Theme Park. Maybe even now, even more terrified than they were before after what G2 just doled out to them. A dominating performance, even with Renshiro starting things off with a quadra kill back in round number 1. Not quite able to see that through to completion to help his team take the map. But as we keep on saying, this is a best of 3. There is more chance for redemption for BDS, zero doubt. Going into Consulate, that's a map I'd say they're pretty comfortable on, Tim.
I would agree. I mean, if we look at that last, Kanto's had a great game there, 11 and 5 overall. I know we commented he was sort of all or nothing in those entry battles, but he really did set G2 up strong in a couple of rounds, and he's had a great game there. And if that continues through into a second map, BDS are going to really struggle to contain him.
They are. Containing him is going to be the aim of the game. They kept a very tight lid on a couple of members. Kanto controlled a bit later on. We saw members of BDS never really quite being able to get into the game. There is more to come from this series, and you do not want to miss the next map or potentially the next 2 maps. Let's go to a very short break. When we come back, Analysts, and then it's map number 2 time. See you soon.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. What a swift map number 1. I gotta say, G2 and Theme Park 7-2. I mentioned it at the start. BDS not so hot on Theme Park. They kind of just spent more time complaining about it than anything else. And there it is. Big victory for G2 to start off the series.
I mean, yeah, you can't really fault them for how they showed up. Obviously, such a great first half on the attack. It was beat for beat perfect for them. It was an unknown factor, sure, for some quantities in terms of BDS being there, but G2, wow.
They really showed up huge, and we gotta give credit where credit is due. Team Park we often see as a very defense-sided map, but the first half already ended in a 4-2 split, and you're like, well, the game might be over from here on forward, especially the way that G2 started out in their defense.
Stein, I love how dedicated you are to EU League, so much so that I couldn't even see you. You were blending into our
I was going to say,
like,
I can fix the issue.
Are you being abducted?
But I need, the aliens are here.
Actually,
we talked about before how it looks like heaven down there, but...
Since we're on terrible jokes, I just want to mention one person with a terrible joke in the chat. Players in the Hornet, BDS, more like BDS. That's just bad. Get out of here. Terrible joke, I have to say.
Terrible joke.
But in the end, there's some truth in it, just like every single joke. You just have to dig a bit deeper to find it. G2 had full control. They were prepared. They were dancing around the map. They had full control, and on the attack, getting 4 rounds on Theme Park, we were, what was it? The score was 2-2, and we're like, yeah, 2 rounds on attack, that's a pretty good start.
It wasn't great. I mean, obviously, when you're kind of sitting in that situation as well, where you're looking at how dominant they were in terms of getting control of bits, BDS just didn't really have an answer for what G2 were putting forward. And, you know, obviously you look in it was a 1-1, and then it was the plant going down in the 3rd round, and we're thinking, okay, well, they've secured at least something here. And then BDS battled back a little bit, but from then on, it was just G2 doing G2 things. And I guess it's always the question is for them, if they're shaky on a major, usually it's at the very beginning and then they start to heat up. They've come in here firing.
Have to say though, G2 they kind of played a mind game with BDS, because before they tweeted out they weren't going to plant, but somehow they managed to get the plant in every single round, except for, well, I believe the first round because they were shut down. But after that, they managed to get the diffuser down very often. I believe 4 times in total, and well, BDS not really able to deal with that. They weren't ready. They didn't have a plan for the after plant situation, how they would be taking on G2 in that case. And that is basically what led G2 to the victory.
Okay, yeah, let's take a look at map number 2 now. Maybe there will be a truck that'll hit a telephone pole somewhere in the world that will change the outcome of this series, but we'll go to Consulate, BDS's pick for this one. G2 definitely had control on Theme Park, but Consulate is a bit more of a mixed bag in comparison.
I mean, Consulate and EU, it's always so exciting to watch. There's always quite a lot that you can do on this map, and if you play it with a bit of passionate aggression, which we know both these teams are capable of, utilize the space, utilize the roam, it's got great synergy in terms of how you want to manipulate moving across the vertical and going top to bottom. There are some set vertical holds you get. There are some ones that are still up in the air, depending on who's pushing and how the team wants to take it, but, you know, this could be a great firefight for both of them.
I'm thinking here, and I see that this map went really decisively to G2, and we also know from, well, historical points of view that BDS used to be a very emotional team. How will this win influence them on an aggressive map like this? Because if G2 is going to be able to stay in this flow, and they're going to be able to instantly bring the aggression to BDS, pick up 1 or 2 rounds in a row to start things off with, it's going to be really hard maybe for BDS to you know, get a grip on the match straight away. Okay,
looking at operator bans on map number 1, BDS banned Thatcher, banned Valkyrie, right? BDS also utilizes Valkyrie very often, or Renshiro, for example. There's G2 goes for the Maverick ban plus the Mira. You go into Consulate. For me, the Valkyrie ban makes a lot of sense on that. The Mira potentially, and the Thatcher. How do you guys see this kind of dynamic play out on map 2, and something that would give BDS a bit more of an advantage versus Theme Park?
Now, you want to go?
No, you go. Shot? You
like,
go.
I've
gone first.
I think
he thinks
Nomad and Valkyrie will be removed, but what I hope to see is that G2 is going to be having the guts to be like, you remove it, right? BDS, you have to ban these operators out.
Yeah.
We'll go for something else. I think because it will be playing more into the mind game as well and disrupting their playstyle, because they might be thinking, all right, if they start the ban, we'll start off with a Nomad and then we can ban the Valkyrie, you know, make it 50-50. But due to the fact that they dominated this well, you kind of want to double down on that and force them to ban these operators to tone down your aggression. Otherwise, I don't know what the other operators would think.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, if we're looking at how well they played on their attack pushing against Team in that situation, where they're able to kind of get the cameras up, or even in lieu of getting the cameras up, get their drones up, get the information, push aggressively with it, get the plant down as many times as you said in a game where they wanted to play that aggro, they're comfortable right now with the crutches that were put forward. You have to think, how do you stop that confidence? How do you stop a team that, even with the basis and the basic utility, is still able to have so much control on the space?
Fluke, would you still stick by your word and remain on BDS? Even Jacob is not believing in this one.
Even Jacob isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've still got some possibilities. Obviously, I don't think they've turned up to the level that people expected in the first map. Neither did Rogue, and I think it's a far cry to say that this is over for Rogue, so I'll stay with it. I'll stay true. I want to be a little bit different to everybody else who's done G2. I think BDS have a bit more fight in them.
A far cry, but the creed remains here, Hap. Are we going to stick with G2?
I'm going to stick with G2.
Or will there be a division somewhere?
I made that joke.
No, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna.
APAC.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say, I see what you're doing here.
Yeah.
You're trying to do what Fluke did. But no, I'm gonna stick to G2. I'm gonna stick to to the Brotherhood.
All right, let's toss it over to our casters. Some would say that there's some sort of love story going on in the back. I've seen the photos that can confirm it, that all over Twitter. Let's see what happens on map number 2. Dez and Ace, all yours. Will this be a G2 2-0 victory? Up to BDS to tell us.
Thank you very much, Milosh, and I have no idea what pictures you're on about. There is no incriminating evidence, so please refrain from making such ludicrous statements on stream.
I don't think it's ever been in question, my love for you, Des.
Oh, Asian.
Too kind.
Lots of love, buddy.
Too kind.
Too kind. We have had a lot of fun together. That first map, man, I've missed us just getting sweaty and screaming at games together.
We've been absolutely blessed with a fantastic opening fixture, and sometimes you look at those scorelines and you think 7-1, 7-2. They're not always the greatest of games to get. You know, it gets a bit one-sided, but that's not what that was at all. BDS certainly had their moments, and they really did come out strong there, but G2 were just too powerful for them. The question is, can BDS get themselves into it? Sure, if they're going to do it anywhere, it will be here in the French consulate.
You'd say it thematically maybe, but I'm not too sure based on recent results. Now, BDS have played this map twice. They've won it once, they've drawn it once, and what team would they draw against? Of course, it's Chaos. They went on to win it. In fact, no, I lie. They beat Chaos. They drew against Temperate. It's the other way around. Whereas G2 have played it once and they won it. So it's a very far cry to say that they aren't comfortable coming into this. They beat Virtus Pro 7-4 for those that want to know. So I don't think G2 are stepping into this in the same way that BDS stepped into Theme Park not too long ago going, oh my God, it's that map we hate. We haven't prepped for it. Please help us. This could end up being a 2-0. It could absolutely go that way, but we've seen that BDS, when given the freedom on this map previously against both Temperate and Chaos, how much fun they have getting up against windows, getting up against doorways, and giving the attacking team an absolute impossibility in trying to even look for a plant. I'm excited to see how it plays out. BDS this time round, critically worth mentioning, have banned away the Wamai. On the last map, they didn't do that, despite banning away Wamai every other game in the season so far.
It's interesting, you know, that you mentioned Consulate and the fact that maybe it's not a map that we've seen too often, but I don't think it's a map, like you say, that teams really avoid here. It's been in the map pool for a long time now, and any team that has been around competitive Siege for a while has played enough Consulate to know what they're doing. So I don't think there's much advantage to be gained there. Each team should know full well what to expect and what needs to be done here, and I'm sure that will be the case. And I want to see a really hard-fought match here. And if I'm honest, I want to see this go to 3 maps. I just want to cast more and more of this game because I know that if it goes all the way to 3, I know just how tense and hard-fought that last map is going to be.
It would be phenomenal. Some fun stats for you about this map for BDS, actually. On attack, they have a 62.5% win rate. On defense, a 66.7%. And the thing that struck me the most about these guys is very commonly they'll have a very stable defense lineup. They'll tend to bring the same things. On Clubhouse in the last fixture against G2, it was always Maestro, it was always Bandit, it was always Oyo. On this map, there is a lot of variation. We've seen them run Oryx before, Vigil, Kaid, Clash, Echo, you name it. There's going to be all kinds of different things being thrown into the fore here, and I can't wait to see what different things they bring to the table.
And the thing is, that makes them difficult to play against because it makes them unpredictable. And that can be something that is tough to line up against because, as you say, you don't always know exactly what is going to get brought against you. You don't know exactly what is going to happen. And right now, we've got the Echo on the board from Renshiro, extremely powerful operator. We know that. He can be very difficult to play against. It looks like, I think we're going to have a quick rehost. So you're going to come back to mine and Dez's versus. Here we are. So I think there was just a bit of a lag issue on the side of G2. So we'll just get that lobby remade and we'll be back with the game very, very quickly, I'm sure. And it just gives me and Dez a little time to have a little bit of a chat about the whole G2 BDS matchup and exactly what we're likely to see going forward. And for me, it's really important here, Des, that BDS come in and get a strong start on the defense. They do not want to fall behind here on console because then you start feeling like you're on that slippery slope. You're heading towards the cliff edge. And sometimes, even if you are strong on the attack, it can be very difficult to bring it back just because of the mental block.
The big fear for me is that G2 have only played this once, like I said, against Virtus Pro. They started on attack there. They won 5 of those 6 attacking rounds. So it's something to stick your nose up at. These boys are very good on this map, and I agree with you. This first half will tell you the full story, I think, especially that Consulate does have a tendency for attackers to do well on. Lots of windows, lots of externally faced sites. Gives you a lot of opportunity to make things happen from there. One thing I have got to mention, and given we've got such a wonderful break, is a wonderful, this talking about chat interaction, by the way, a wonderful comment that came out of chat not too long ago, and I did DM you about this, so I gave you the warning. Someone said that your head looks like a sodden Tic Tac.
I mean, what do you do with that, Des?
You know what I want to know? I would love to know. I forgot the name of the person who said it, by the way, so I apologize for not crediting you, but where does your head go to, 1, go tic-tac, and 2, to say, oh, it's quite sodden, actually? I've never seen a sodden tic-tac in my life.
I was just going to say, I don't think it's really possible, because I think that the majority sugar, so they would dissolve rather than become...
Yeah.
They don't get soggy, do they? You know, they don't absorb water. So at what point does it become sodden? You know, it's just going to dissolve, if anything. I mean...
They're talking about sun cream, maybe. Just soak... You spent a lot of time in Brazil, let's not forget, just soaking that sun cream in, I don't know.
Honestly, I mean...
It's a bit of a stretch.
You see many things in the chat, we really do. And that's certainly got it. When you told me that one, that's certainly got to be up there with the best of them.
If ever you want casters to reference anything at a future point in time, the best time to do it is at the end of a game, because that's when they'll be jumping in there to see the end of it and how it ended and what chat was saying. There's a nice little note for you, no doubt, on that one. But let's talk about this a little bit more. We mentioned about the variation that we saw coming out of BDS on this map previously. They will bring along a lot of different operators, whether it's the Vigil, the Echo, the Kaid, the Clash, like you name it. There is something in there for everyone to enjoy watching. On the side of G2, though, their focus instead comes into more things like playing around Vigil and Echo. Echo on this map especially comes in super popular, especially when you look towards those top floor sites.
Certainly does, and we know the power of Echo in general, just having that last 20-30 seconds, he gets more powerful as he survives into the round, and really, really effective at the round
mate,
end.
I've got to stop you there. The one thing I've said so many times throughout AUL, because I always remember you saying it in the EOC, was power spikes.
Power spike.
And I was
That's
like,
exactly
everyone
what he
knows
has.
you've been playing a particular game, so I was a power spike on Echo, and I was like, there you go.
It's very true, though.
Learning.
Towards those last
is.
30 seconds, Echo's power doubles, trebles, because he can just single-handedly deny a plant for so long and so effectively.
He can indeed. However, we have delayed enough effectively ourselves, apparently. We are back into round number 1 here on Consulate G2 BDS. In case you're just joining us, man, you missed one hell of a first map. G2 reminding everyone why they are regarded as one of the greatest, with a wonderful performance that BDS didn't really have too much of a response to. Consulate being BDS's map choice, though, we're expecting greater things.
So let's have a look at that lineup. Let's finish what I was saying just before that rehost. We've got the Echo on the board from Renshiro. Elem's out there on the Vigil. Now, that's going to be a particularly interesting point to watch out for. Can Elems bring that thunder in the early round? Can he pick up those early kills and just wipe off a couple of important operators for G2? As you've said, Des, very efficient, very effective on the attack here on Consulate so far from what we've seen from them. I'll be interested to see exactly how they play this one. Generally speaking, there is only one directional attack onto Garage. We don't see too much pressure coming onto the rear of Cafeteria, generally speaking. It tends to be all about getting that garage door open and getting control of Piano. Now, we've got BDS playing the man in Bathroom for the time being. That is a very important location. Brede is in there. We need to see, for me, a little bit more out of Brede. He's had a huge stage 1 in the EUL, but we haven't really seen that from him on Theme Park to open things up. And wow, that is quick from G2 with that door already getting open inside 35 seconds.
There isn't very much in the way of denial outside of the mute jammers, and I'm not sure they committed too many towards it, or they put 1 or 2 there, sorry, but Pengu being on this Twitch, going to do what Twitch does best and start zapping away those gadgets, whether they're default cameras or the mute jammers in the first place. As you say, that gets this wall open in rapid time. So now they've got it here, what they should be looking towards is control of Piano upstairs, so you haven't got any awkward angles being held by BDS from above to shoot you as you try to run in and go for the plant. And already there's some aggression coming in towards Renshiro, who's very happy to sit there and say, look, I got yokais. I ain't got to worry about taking these fights just yet, but he is being watched by Citizen's camera in the back of Cafe.
Yep, G2 are very well aware of his location. What a headshot from Virtue to open things up there just as Renshiro dips away. That is absolutely huge, taking the Echo off the board, and that really starts to open this round up for G2. The one thing that they need to do now is get that Piano room locked down. They need to get control over that and Yellow Stairs, and then they can get in, and the diffuser is in a position to be planted. Smoke's being burnt already, and things looking so far so good for G2, but there is still work to be done.
There's no focus really by the looks of it on taking Piano. They just want to try and go for a straight push in. I say that, and Uno has crept his way down Yellow Stairs and is lurking near the top, but it's control inside the room itself that I'm most worried about. He sees him flash across, but loses the gunfight. That's massive coming out of the side of BDS, puts them into a 4 versus 4 quickly. Traded out by Citizen onto Shaiko, so we are into a 4 versus 3. And you've still got Brede holding upstairs. He must be able to catch Pengu here unless he's gone deep behind the white van, which I think he has. That plant's going to get stuck out. Even on Twitch, the man is a planting god. Citizen, a god in his own right. 3 kills flying out, and it's all down to Brede left by himself. Couldn't stop them pushing in through the breach. Makes this far too easy for them. This should be the first round going the way of G2 unless Brede can do what he did so well in the first few weeks. He's got to go all the way here, bring down both members, and this is an angle that is gross to try and contest. Almost getting there. Not quite to be the case. Virtue picking up the final kill. G2 with an impressive round 1, given how one-dimensional it was, Ace.
Often labelled the hardest retake in all of Siege there, and you see exactly why. And that was without anybody even retiring outside and holding a long angle with an ACOG. Very, very tough to contest back onto. And really, to say that BDS had full Piano control throughout that round, largely uncontested, Des, I don't think they really put it to enough use, as you say. They just couldn't find the planter, couldn't prevent Pengu activating that diffuser, getting it on the ground, and that was their undoing. Citizen going huge there, and that's not too much of a surprise, Des. We know how renowned, if we think a long way back to when it was Citizen on Na'Vi, but before that, when it was M&M, we know how effective they were on console. They were well known for it, and Citizen was a big part of that. He's always been good on this map and showing exactly why they're coming in with a huge triple kill for G2 and showing that he is more than capable on console at the very peak of the big leagues.
What I love is how it carried across not just to that team, and then they became Na'Vi, and then kind of started to adapt and bring in more things with them, but the team that replaced them under M&M Gaming and then became known as Crazy, who we saw compete in Challenger League, same story for them. Consulate lovers. It's a thing that seems to follow that organization around, is that people just love playing Consulate and playing it damn well when they're part of that roster. This round, I'm expecting to see some adaptation coming out of BDS. They knew in the last round that G2 absolutely terrorized them with those Twitch drones. Got to deal with them a bit earlier, or at the very least, prevent them from getting inside so freely in removing those mute jammers.
production just blessing us with the replay of that Virtue headshot to open things up, taking Ranshiro off the board. And that was a pivotal moment for me, losing the echo there. And BDS must be scratching their heads at that one because he showed his head for a fraction of a second. We're talking pixels there. And Virtue just showing the ability that he brings to this lineup. It was absolutely beautiful. That is definitely going to be one of the kills of the tournament. There is absolutely no question about it. And right now we can see that wall has been opened up extremely quickly. Once again, there's inside of 30 seconds. G2 showing a real mastery of being able to do that. Kanto, he's just holding himself down there by the breach. Not really too impactful in the last round. Didn't get in, didn't take those entry battles. This time, Citizen, who else gets in and absolutely wipes Alems off the map there. That's the vigil gone, and now we start to see some rear pressure mounting. And this is what I've been so impressed with when I've been watching G2 through stage 1, is their ability to bring different plans to the table, different attacks, and a lot of variation, and we're seeing it once again.
Citizen making me weak at the knees with that one, man. So many times today he's doing shots like this that no one should be able to do. Yet they don't even see him, it feels like. There's a flash and suddenly you're dead and you're like, what the hell happened? Citizen happened is the biggest thing you've got to be concerned with there. I think with BDS, they're not even bothering to contest onto the garage door at this point, though. They're letting it get opened up. They aren't putting jammers all the way along it. They did have one on the drone hole just to prevent any intel being gathered in. However, Kanto did manage to sneak his way in regardless. And now they're in a spot where they can start assaulting through anyway. Maybe some electrification or some kind of strength towards trying to deny G2 would be the way to go, because right now you're making things a little bit too simple for them. That being said, they've abandoned the garage take, or they've only got 1 or 2 players still lurking there. The rest have all moved themselves out towards the east, trying to keep BDS on their toes and make sure they're constantly guessing of what G2 are bringing.
So this is what happens when you say we rarely see a cafeteria push. G2 decide, well, we're going to show you that. And they start to move from that east side. And Pengu gets himself a kill, but Shaiko will shut down Kanto Raketti, and that now leaves us in a 4 versus 3. G2 still have the advantage, but it's not going to be an easy push for them here. And the reason that cafeteria can be difficult to push into is that you are limited to pushing in through the doors. You have no option to get a breach. You have no option to get anything other than default angles, but Virtue, that's all he needs as he shuts down 1, shuts down 2. That is a double on the round for him. And him and Citizen right now are having a field day here on Consulate. Virtue for a 3rd on the round, shuts down Shaiko. And G2 will take round 2. And they find themselves now 2-0 on the scoreboard. And they are looking hot. Not just here on Consulate, but here in the EU Major.
Virtue there just basically saying to them, your site? No. Our site. Milos will be proud somewhere of that, I'm sure. But the number of kills he found from being sat behind the bomb chassis as an attacker, mind you, was unbelievable. Lots of work to be done there for BDS to even try and find a way back in. And G2, they're making this look easy. 2 rounds in, barely a flicker of competition coming out of the side of BDS. They've really got to start warming into things here. And I think they've got the right call here. Let's change sites. Let's try and mix it up, because clearly we can't answer either of the attacks coming out of G2.
Heading up to the top floor, as you say, to try and mix things up. And I think that is going to be important, because you can't keep banging your head, can't keep banging your head against the wall, should I say. And right now, BDS, they just feel like they're on a slippery slope, Des. There is very little they seem to be able to do. It doesn't matter where the push comes from. G2 are just willing to take the fights, and they are playing with so much confidence right now.
Screech Drummer basically saying, look, I see him play it all the time on his stream, then clearly he's going to absolutely rock it, as he has done so far, Screech. So you are absolutely correct. Love the drum kit in the picture, by the way. But it's a point, right? Pengu, sorry, has been having a ton of fun running around on this Twitch so far, and it's not really a role that we get to see him play on. That being said, back in round 1, he was the one placing the diffuser. He wasn't the one sat outside in the thermite being cautious and getting walls open. No, give him one of the best guns in the game and say go nuts.
And go nuts he will, ultimately. We can see that he's 1-1 at the minute, but you just know that there are more kills to come from him. But how about Virtue? Look at him down there. Between him and Citizen, 9-1 so far across 2 rounds. It is absolutely huge, Des. It is unprecedented at this point, the start that G2 are finding themselves here on Consulate. But this has got to be scary for all the other teams. Virtus Pro right now are sat there waiting to play G2. They've already got themselves into the next round, but would anybody want to face up against this G2 squad at the moment? I know I wouldn't.
No doubt a lot of prep coming into this as well. They've had a good think about what they're coming up against in the form of BDS. What made them so strong at the start of the season? What do we need to answer to bring against them here? And clearly uncertainty is the way to go. You mentioned about Clubhouse earlier on that often it was BDS playing for the retakes. G2 were the ones that were just beelining it in towards site, and that's where their focus came from. Well, here it's kind of the same story. However, G2 are the ones also completely eviscerating the side of BDS on the way into the site. They're not bothering about the roamers. They're saying, if you want to roam, you guys do that. Brede, you want to hold inside a piano? No problem, my friend. You get cozy up there and play a few tunes for us. We're going to focus instead on getting the diffuser down, and so far it has been working wonders. So the entire onus now falls onto BDS to be the innovators, the ones that have got to change how they're approaching this game, because heaven knows this could turn out to be a very quick and comfortable 2-0 for G2.
It really could, and you know, obviously history is exactly that. It's what's gone before, and it isn't necessarily always a means to predict the future. But right now, G2 just looking so solid inside of this best of 3 format against BDS, and that is exactly what we have seen previously from them. And if we look back to the past, the last time that we saw G2 playing Consulate against Virtus Pro Week 9 EUL Stage 1, Virtue and Citizen, is it any surprise that they were the top 2 on the leaderboard? 21 kills between the two of them, Des. +7 overall. They were phenomenal then, and they are phenomenal now. And Citizen absolutely removes the head of LMs once again. Huge opener there. Pengu gets involved in the action. 5 versus 3. 40 seconds left to go, and this is going to be difficult for BDS to absorb the pressure that is about to come their way.
It's so difficult as well, because in that spot, double peeking back out as a lem, probably not the most ideal thing to do, knowing full well that Citizen is going to be pre-firing the spot should your head reappear. You need to hit that first shot headshot, otherwise that gunfight is lost, and Citizen more than happy to collect that free kill. Here goes Pengu trying to go for a plant, pull back off it though, as his team had a chance to get into a bit of an altercation, find themselves yet another kill. It's a 5 versus 2. There we go. The Maestro shut down. The pace from G2 is electric. There is no opposition from the other side, but Diffuser's down. Cole, Renshiro downstairs. Can they still plant this or not? Doesn't have a C4, so they've got to deny it. However, the kill comes in as Uno had recovered the Diffuser. Citizen stepping up big in the closing moments. Otherwise, that was victory snatched away from them cruelly, and BDS taking a round. But G2 3-0.
G2 using every second that was available to them there, just getting that plant animation going, freezing the clock effectively at 0 seconds, and just giving Citizen the time that he needed to get in there, find the last man, and shut down the defense of BDS. And right now, BDS, they can't get themselves even a toehold in this game against G2, who, to be quite frank, look absolutely terrifying right now. They're doing the default things right, Des. Every time we see them come in with a push that is as we would expect, they're doing it well. I used round 1 as an example. Garage push, nothing unusual from G2. Get the wall open, get in, get the diffuser down near White Van. Did it very, very well. Round 2, something, to be honest, unorthodox. Coming in from the cafeteria side. Did it very, very well. And that is the problem. Not just for BDS, but for all the teams in this major. G2, they are finding a way to succeed regardless of how they push into sites right now. They are just relying on the ability of those players. And wow, what a performance we are seeing from them so far.
I'd love to see if this round turns into them dropping the admin take that we saw in the last round. Admittedly, not the most popular thing in Europe. Remember the comparison we drew a few times during the EUL season was if you take over yellow, it's harder initially but easier later. If you take admin, it's easier initially but harder later. We all have seen players running through copy all through Coffin down to the south and getting C4'd from below. It doesn't make for a pretty time, and trying to push in towards meeting, almost impossible. Admin is easy to get into, but then to actually execute from isn't always the most simple. It looks like for now, G2 are going to focus out towards admin once again, so Lightning will strike twice. They'll go to the same place rather than worrying about yellow, but BDS are holding firm. They're saying, right, Mute and Mozzie, get in there, deny all the information from them, and make them uncomfortable. Just slow them down a little bit, because there has been a little bit too much time being given over to the G2 side so far.
Big round required from LM and Renshiro here. They really need to hold G2 at bay for as long as possible. As you say, Des, it is generally the easier side of the map to get into. But the question is, G2, I can see a little bit of movement off the rappel there. Uno's going to just keep himself up there on the windows. But other than that, it looks like Citizen's just looking to move to clear underneath. Virtue's getting himself up. And what they're trying to do at the minute is potentially just cut these defenders off. Virtue gets himself onto the copy window there. So that is now one area that BDS cannot rotate out of admin. And this could be all or nothing for BDS on the defense. They're going to either lose 2 players or those 2 players are going to fight their way out of admin. It's not going to be pretty either way, but the question is who comes out on top.
It's the danger here because they can't just swing blindly into copy to try and contest Renshiro while someone else comes in through the main window because they can't get a drone in. They don't know who's hanging around where LM and Brede are right now. They don't know that if they try and repel into copy, they're going to get shut down immediately because they can't get past the pests. So I like how BDS have played this. They've given a problem to G2, and G2's job now is to play problem solver. Citizen's going to solve a problem for his team, though. LM going down. It's traded out immediately this time round. BDS do strike back, and Citizen, who's had a wonderful day so far, is removed from the field.
Third round in a row that Citizen has picked up the opener onto LM. He's having a torrid time of it here on Consulate. Virtue's just holding that angle in towards the long desk now. Kanto it will be for his first kill of the map so far. Gets Rafal off the board. So that is the smoke cleared out. And 4 versus 3 now in the favour of G2. And G2, they need to turn the screw here. They need to really start increasing this pressure that is being applied to BDS. Right now, Renshiro is an important factor in this defence, and he needs to be moved out of admin so that G2, they can start getting some map control, because Shaiko, he's managed to keep himself in there. Oh, he doesn't pull the trigger on that one and nearly loses his life to the connector window. But the time is ticking by and doing its job for the defenders. And right now, you're going to see exactly why yellow stairs can be so important to this defense. Shots coming in there and just preventing that diffuser going down. Brede coming in with a huge double. We find ourselves at 2 versus 2 right now. 7 seconds to go. Diffuser cold on the ground, and Shaiko starts to do his job from yellow stairs. Shuts down Virtue 1 versus 2. Uno knows that this round is done. BDS, they hold on. They stick their claws into the cliff face there and prevent themselves slipping further down and get a round on the board.
It's interesting how it just changes over so quickly. They went from admin and said, you know what, this is too difficult. We can't execute into copy like I mentioned. Let's try and go and play on the console window instead. The problem is because they've taken so long, Shaiko got so comfortable on yellow stairs, and you saw how it played out. They tried to repel themselves, and he was like, look, I just got to spray the desk here, guys, and you're going to die. That's exactly how it played out for them. And with Uno being stuck on the window, playing that flank watch on the Nomad, nothing more to come from it. If maybe they'd caught Shaiko out, it would have been a little more comfortable or applied some pressure, but time was against them there. So this is why changing your attack in the middle of rounds can be very difficult. They wasted maybe a little bit too much time there in focusing on what was going on elsewhere on the map, and then finally tried to make a call with about 60 seconds to go. Sadly, 60 seconds not enough to clear an entire side of the map. At least for BDS, it gives them some kind of breathing room, though. It is something for them. And a few interesting changes coming out in this round. Renshiro going across to the Alibi, but on the other side is where I am looking. It's Citizen on the Amaru.
We've got to call a good adaptation there from BDS. You know, as you say, they recognised that the problem had come from admin, and they wasted an awful lot of time by putting defensive resource into keeping hold of that area. And it was a great example from Shaiko on yellow stairs of just exactly why, even with an admin push, it is very dangerous to leave a man on yellow stairs, because if you do need that late round rotation, they will then almost certainly dominate the remainder of that round. The admin push completely focuses on getting into meetings, so then yellow stairs is no longer a factor in preventing that diffuser going down. If you're going to try and get into console, you have to have control over the yellow stairs, because we saw the angle and why it is so powerful there. Now we can see a little battle of the peaks coming out there, and Shaiko just looking to try and get himself a cheeky pick out of that yellow stairs window, but it will be Citizen once again, 4th round in a row. He will open things up. Renshiro will be his victim this time, and Citizen just getting himself into admin quickly, using that Amaru ability. And right now, Shaiko, he's the only man remaining on the top floor, and we know that top floor is so important. If you can get control of that for press and lobby, it is really dangerous for the defenders. But interestingly, BDS, they're trying to hold things from the garage basement floor.
Not absolutely essential to have your thermite in this round, I'd say, but still kind of important to keep as many alive as you can. I was going to say, they know that Citizen is hanging up near Admin. You've got to be so mindful of those vertical angles, given how soft the floor is around the entirety of the top floor. But that one not being respected out by Alem. That puts 2 kills on the side of G2 nice and early, just from Citizen getting control of Admin. It's really interesting seeing where he's playing and how he's playing with the Amaru, because very commonly on this map, I say commonly, we see a team Easy Dream do it over in the, not Easy Dream, Tempera. They keep on changing names. It kills me. Tempera Esports do it in EU when they're attacking the top floor. They'll use it to get the hatch underneath site and come up from inside a piano, spring into the site and go for a stealth plant. Here, it's not quite the site they were aiming to try and do that on, but it's still the case that it gives you that very rapid control of admin that people can't quite expect. The Citizen now finds himself in a good power position. They're now in a wonderful place to start assaulting the top floor, getting that vertical control so Pengu can plant in through the main door. But Citizen doing Citizen things, finds himself 3 kills. Pengu going to play spoiler and picking one up, and it's all down to Rafal entirely by himself. We've seen this so many times, Ace. We know how these play out. Pengu's going to plant. He's going to get himself 2v1'd in a moment, and there is nothing here for the smoke player to do except wait for his inevitable doom as the diffuser has now gone down. We'll find one. They didn't quite know where he was, it appears, but it's still a 3 versus 1. Nothing to worry about just yet, but he's got 30 seconds if he's going to do it the whole way through. The biggest issue is, just like when you're playing inside a garage, this can be so difficult to prevent the diffuse, prevent the counter, I guess, diffuse counter coming out. Everyone sits outside the map and is very happy to try and contest you. He's going to try and do it through the smoke. They should just spray onto the bomb here behind you. It's like a pantomime, and it's Pengu who steps in and gets the final kill. They're playing spoiler through the front door. Not quite the full pantomime act, I'm afraid, here, ladies and gents, but G2 get yet another round. They're 4th on the attacking half with still 1 to go.
A wonderful, wonderful move from Citizen there to clear out Breeder, who was a potential problem on the Legion. He was playing in and around the basement. He was just moving himself up and down spiral stairs just to cause trouble. And we just saw a fantastic play where Citizen gets himself into the visa office, opens up the hatch, drops underneath, and obviously the information was there. We've questioned G2's drone game, information game coming into this days. It's not always been the most efficient throughout the season. We've seen them losing a lot of drones early in rounds, but there was obviously great information being fed in there. He knew exactly where Breeder was playing, took the drop, moved down, just came up from underneath on that spiral staircase and absolutely destroyed the Legion. There was nothing that he could do, and it really opened the round up and allowed that diffuser to be planted on the ground, because then there was no counter to come in from the spiral stairs area. So great heads up play, not just from Citizen. He was the gun that went and did the damage, but ultimately that is team play as well, to get that information, feed it back in and formulate a plan that works. Beautiful from G2.
Oh man, BDS clearly thinking, you know what, we didn't get enough punishment down here in the first 2 rounds. G2 have gone through garage door, they've come from cafeteria. Surely there's no third attack here they can bring out here to surprise us. It's going to be one of the 2. That yet remains to be seen. Big difference coming out for G2 though is no Twitch. Pengu going onto the sledge. I don't think it's really going to come and sting them too hard, but it's something to be mindful of here, that they won't have those shock drones to deal with these jammers, to deal with the yokai drones if they can spot out where they are. And this time round, you've even got Shaiko playing on the upstairs, trying to cause some trouble. It was Brede inside a piano last time round. In fact, there's a couple of them playing upstairs, just trying to catch these early entrants from the side of G2, who it looks like are focusing on the top floor. Alem almost getting his head taken clean off from Copy, but will walk away by the skin of his teeth with just a slither of HP remaining.
All 5 entry kills so far have gone in the direction of G2, and nearly a 6th there as well. And BDS need to get themselves into that entry fight, because right now they are not playing well when on the back foot. And G2 coming in with a 5-1 start here. You know, you asked me the question, can G2 find 2 successful defenses? I've got to say that I think that they can. They only need to find one site that they can hold down at that point. You know, they can effectively lose an awful lot to BDS without still losing this map. And coming in with a 2-map win in a best of 3 to start things off in the major here, that really does put G2 on a strong foot forward.
What I will say, of course, is there are two halves to any game of Siege, and you don't know what BDS are going to bring out on their attacking side yet, especially when Shaiko can have a 2v1 like this and walk away with a kill. Virtue's going to find the trade back, mind you, and Citizen does Citizen things. Does he even need an introduction in these rounds anymore? Once again, finds a kill in the mid-round, bringing down Alem, who's had a rough time. I swear, every single time those guys have butted heads so far, it has gone the way of Citizen, whether that's in the entry kill or just somewhere in the middle of the round.
Virtue and Citizen are just proving right now that they are the kings of Consulate. They are just running around this map, killing at will. There is nobody who can shut them down on the side of BDS, and we find ourselves 4 versus 3 with 1 minute left to go. We can see Citizen up there in the piano room, just looking to get as many of those gadgets taken out as he can, taking advantage of every single inch of destructible floor in there, and that is just piece of utility after utility being taken away. Pengu, he's going to start opening up those vertical angles as well, but he does have the diffuser in hand, so he can't remain up here for too long. The wall does get opened, and right now a lot of work has been done by G2 to push towards getting this default plant spot open to them and available to get that diffuser down.
Citizen on this IQ is exactly the same story on Theme Park, remember, when he was playing below, just removing gadgets left, right, and center. It's exactly the same story here, and my God, has he been playing it well. They know that no one's in piano. This should be the safest plant of Pengu's life. It's going to go in. Citizen, a little bit over the top maybe there, and gets his head taken clean off, but it's a 3 versus 3. Diffuser is down. We spoke about this earlier on being one of those sites that is so easy to hold from the outside, and there it comes. Virtue with a kill onto the attempt to defuse coming out from Rafael. This should be all too easy for them. BDS trying to make it happen. No one's there to capitalize on yellow stairs. I think this round is pretty much done and dusted. G2 will take the half 5-1, and Renshiro, yokai drones or no yokai drones, they're not much use to you right now. There is someone holding every single angle. There's grenades singing in alongside the bullets. G2 will close it out. 5-1 at the half. Man, BDS are going to be feeling that one in the morning.
I really felt for Renshiro there. There were just bullet tracers, grenades. There was everything raining in all around him. There was absolutely nowhere that he could turn, shut down, and it will be 5-1 at the half, as you say, to G2. And there was absolutely no retake on that one. I don't care which team you are, what you say. You had men outside holding the long angle. You had Uno up in piano using the vertical angle onto the diffuser. There was absolutely no way on earth that G2 lose that round once the diffuser had gone down. And as you said, Citizen just somewhat dramatically throwing himself into the breach there, but it certainly did the job. I think, and I don't want to, don't quote me on this, I don't know, this is definitely his thought process, but he missed his shots on the Echo drone, but he'd identified it was there, and I'm just wondering if he was basically putting himself in between the line of sight of that Echo drone and Pengu planting by just running in there. If there is a stun attempt comes in, maybe it catches him and doesn't stop that diffuser attempt from going down on the ground. And one way or another, it certainly meant that the diffuser was activated and it was a heads-up play. Great stuff from G2 in the first half.
I feel like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't against G2, right? Because they chose not to hold the top floor, chose to commit everyone downstairs and said, fine, we'll contest G2 as they try and go for the plant. That just gives all the agency in the world for Citizen to get upstairs and remove the gadgets. If you do hold upstairs so that he can't do that, they just say, fine, there's only 1 or 2v1 site, we can hold those angles, we'll steamroll our way in, plant behind the white van, and you're left with nothing to do or to say in response. It is so tough to break them apart, and this is the G2, I've said it a couple of times, that I think everyone expected coming into SI, coming into EUL, coming into even EOC before that, and now coming into the major. This is looking like a team on fire so far. Speaking of on fire, it's a little bit more like electric. Pengu bringing along the clash, looking to try and hold up on towards yellow stairs. Renshiro on the Amaru, I wonder if they are going to take inspiration from their French brothers over on Tempera and be looking to use that Amaru to get up inside of the site and go for a stealthy, cheeky plant.
I think, ultimately looking at G2 and BDS here, there's an interesting point to be made about form, Des. It was something that I mentioned at the beginning of the show, was that G2 were on this upward curve and BDS, they had only won 2 of their final 5 matches in the EUL first stage. And sometimes it is not about sort of having the better form. It's about just when you hit form. It's something that we saw in the LATAM Major as well. NIP, they struggled through the season and Team Liquid were solid throughout, but they lost the last couple of games coming into that Major, and NIP just looked absolutely unstoppable, and it just can be about doing it at the right time. You know, ultimately, if you're going to win 3 consecutive games at any point during the season, the Major's the time to do it, because that puts the title on your belt. Simple as that. And right now, it looks like that is exactly what G2 are doing. They've had a reasonably solid season. They've come through third, but they have certainly excelled in the latter half. 4 wins out of 5 games, and they are carrying it forward right now.
They're looking to go for it. They've opened up the flooring in case someone tries to contest from below, I think, later on. They've got all the drone work, all the piano play coming through here, just waiting to make use of the Amaru to go up through that hatch and try and go for a plant. It would no doubt be the best way to get around Pengu, because he's going to give them absolute chaos here on yellow stairs. I'm just wondering when they pull that trigger and go for it, and equally, who can dare contest them, because all these walls are reinforced. You can't spray in from yellow stairs. You can't really spray from anywhere, and all you need is someone like BDS holding out on window and watching someone try to come through the connect to rotate, and suddenly it could be the freest plant of your life.
I love the excitement of players like this, where you can see it building and we're just waiting.
Oh, there it is. It's gone.
He's gone up. I'm sure. I've just heard the gadget of Amaru. He's in, and down goes the diffuser. Will Pengu be able to deny? There is nothing really that he can do about this. Diffuser activated, and he's going to look to make a challenge onto the window. The question is, can one of G2 get in behind him whilst he protects them from the rappel potentially? But with a man on connector, that's going to be extremely difficult. We see the challenge come in, but Renshiro will shut down Kanto, and right now, this is going to be very, very difficult for G2 to do anything about. Pengu is shut down by Renshiro. It is all coming down to the window play as Alem gets himself one onto Virtue, and surely this is a matter of time. Flawless round for BDS.
Yes.
That is exactly the start they needed. What a wonderful Amaru play there from Renshiro, just getting himself up to get that diffuser down.
The members of Tempera just sat there like French kiss. Beautiful stuff, and taking inspiration, like I mentioned, coming out of Tempera. We saw them do it quite a few times during the regular split, and that's exactly why you use it. It requires a total rotation of the defensive setup, and you can't sit there playing scared that someone is suddenly going to spring into sight and go for a plant like that. Wonderful execution, and this is where you're going to have to see some adaptation coming out of G2. I think my biggest fear for BDS is that's only going to work once, and you can't keep on playing that same site and keep on trying to pull the same thing off. G2 are going to head downstairs. There is no use for Amaru down there, so understandably, Renshiro is going to change away onto the Zofia instead. This is where it's going to be a test of their mettle here. This is where you're going to see the real attack out of BDS on this map, and whether or not they came into today prepared to face G2 on the attacking side on Consulate, or if it's all going to crumble apart here and they'll go down to the lower bracket to face off against Rogue in the next match.
I think the problem for G2 there on that last round was not having an aggressive enough hold on yellow stairs. They had Pengu there with the clash, but that just showed exactly why that can be a little bit too passive sometimes. We saw by contrast Shaiko playing out there and just really denying a plant and making it very difficult, and exactly how that can be done. And with those line of sight holes opened up in the bottom of the wall there, just allowing that view above the hatch, it would have been very difficult for Renshiro to do exactly what he did and successfully get that diffuser down. And I think G2 maybe just need to adapt that defense to have a slightly tougher hold on yellow stairs there to allow them to challenge onto that diffuser before it can be planted. But right now they're going to be trying somewhere else. That will be their adaptation here for round 8, will be to not go to that site once again. They've got quite a strong top floor hold here, so they're going to try to waste as much time for BDS as they can by forcing them to clear out the entire map here. But there is the chance that BDS just say, you know what, we're not too worried about that roam game. We're going to leave you out in the cold, and we're just going to get this wall open and get a diffuser down.
Interesting they choose to bring the Maverick in this case ahead of something like the Thermite, which, as we've already seen, can very effectively and very quickly get things opened up. So it's a bit of time to go to G2's side. For Alem, he says, your time is up. Kanto removed very, very quickly and very, very comfortably. Now from outside, I think, just outside of yellow stairs. Good start for them. Almost half expected to see some kind of contest coming out of G2 here. Maybe looking to get a Maverick through the hole to try and kill someone. A double jump out comes through, actually, from G2 onto the south balcony outside meeting. And Citizen's down. Can they save him, or will they try and rotate around to kill him? Oh, man, this is going to be a wonderful minigame if it comes down to it.
Uno completely unaware of a Lem on yellow stairs there and will be shut down. Lem's going to move out for a third, and that is going to be a big start for BDS whilst attacking Garage here. And it's all down to Virtue and Pengu. And right now, two players that we have seen do well so far on Consulate, but this is going to be a huge ask, and it just got bigger as Lem gets himself a fourth. Could this be an ace for Lem on BDS? Virtue will shut down Shaiko, and right now that leaves him in a 1 versus 4. Shut down by Lem. Huge ace from him, exactly when his team needed it. He had a torrid time on the defense, but he shows that he is ready to fight here on the Consulate and will shut down G2 single-handedly in round number 8.
If you're spamming Pepe Laugh, Weird Champ, whatever else you want in the chat about why would you send two people on a jump out like that, it's because the Fat and Nomad was in place. If Rafala got an air jab down on the window outside a meeting, the first one jumps out, takes the hit, the second one jumps out straight after, isn't hit, and can then contest with the gun up straight away. That's why they chose to go for it. They still ended up losing out, didn't get a single kill off the back of it. And as we saw for Lem, it was a case of playing the patience game there, waiting for some cover to try and come in to protect the injured member outside a meeting. And it's as simple as that to clean things up once you're in such a massive man advantage. Wonderful round from Lem. And I gotta say, a player that I think when he first moved over from Secret, we all saw greatness from. We were all really excited to see how he augmented this team and brought something else alongside Shaiko. And lately, a little bit quieter. The focus has been on Bride, it's been on Shaiko. Alema's kind of fallen into the backdrop a little bit and been one of the quieter members of the team. But when he steps up and when he finds a game that he is really gunning to try and do well in, you will see him give rounds like that. And although it isn't a super consistent thing that shows up for, prior to that he was only on 3 kills, it's still those kind of moments where you really want to see him step up and shine. BDS now starting to close that gap on G2.
G2, they're going to be feeling the pressure at this point as BDS calls in on them, as you say, Des. And now, how do they react to it? They've had an extremely strong start on the attack, and I will stand by what I said. I think there is 2 defensive rounds to be found for G2 here, but they need to find one of them soon. They can't let BDS get into touching distance, and I honestly think that this is an extremely important round here in round 9. G2, if they can get themselves onto that match point, 6-3, mentally, they know they've got a couple of opportunities to close it out before BDS take them to overtime, but 5-4 looks very different at that point. It gives them very little breathing space as BDS are right behind them and breathing down their necks, ready to just tie things up at 5-all. So for me, this could be a real swing round here as to which way this map is going to go. And I, for one, am really glad to see BDS fighting the way back into this, Des. I want this excitement. I want this tension. I want to be forced right onto the edge. I want to be forced off the edge of my seat by this match.
I'll tell you what, mate, you love the edge of your seat so much, I would not be surprised to see if that is the only part of it that has become worn over all these years.
There's nothing left of it. There's absolutely nothing left. I just get...
It's just bare bones, metal structure. Like, you get a few bruises, but you know it's still worth it because you love it so much.
I just get so excited watching Siege. It doesn't matter who's playing or what the matchup is, but when they are huge games like this in a tournament like the EU Major, it just piles onto it and just adds the excitement. And right now, we've had a slightly tentative start to round 9. It's been quite a slow one so far. A minute 30 in, we don't have a kill on the board just yet. G2 happy to hold their angles. There's not too much mobility coming out of them. Virtue, he's going to be a difficult man in here. He needs to be dislodged, and right now it looks like Shaiko is going to try to aggress onto him. He's got pressure being applied from that balcony window as well, but right now Virtue holding fast.
Can we have a look at the lobby for a second, Easy, and just see what's going on downstairs? Is the hatch open? Look at Renshiro lurking, and it's... Please tell me he's not going to try and pull this off. Please tell me he's not going to try and pull a last one from below. That would be mega, just as mega as a C4 and an opening kill come out for Virtue and Uno. So... have they really got the cover right now to enable him to go for this play where he springs up from below and goes for a plant? It would have been great if Shaiko had been kept alive and we'd seen Bride on side as well. Not quite to be the case. Alem going to find one back. It's a 4 versus 3. That smoke comes yeeting out towards him. No doubt clocks him on the forehead there. That's a nice bruise in the morning. Still trying to find this play, and it's all about the timing. 30 seconds to go, Ace.
I love that view that we got there of the smoke canister just pelting towards Alem's face there. We can see another one coming out. Renshiro will get himself a kill and 2 G2 by hopping up the hatch. Shut down by a Pengu double, though. We now find ourselves in a 2 versus 1. Alem, practically no health left. Diffuser down cold on the ground. Everything's against him. He's going to take out the default cam. 6 seconds left. Shut down as G2 will get themselves onto map point and match point here in Consulate.
Oh, BDS clearly opening up the Bible here, coming out of Temper and saying, right, Amaru on Consulate, and more Amaru. Okay, Amaru only. How do we best use it? It's not just about the one plant inside a console. It's now also coming up from below in towards lobby. Unconventional, given we see most teams focus instead on the top floor, get that vertical control, and then look to plant inside the main door. But I am all for breaking open what is considered normal. Going to see it again as we go back up towards console and meeting for the second time. They won here pretty comfortably last time. A flawless round, if you recall. I wonder if G2 afford them the same comfort as they've had previously.
G2 for me need to finish this quickly, Des. They don't want to. They can't let Virtus Pro too far back. Sorry, not Virtus Pro. I was just thinking about making the same point in the Virtus Pro match that I was concerned they hadn't closed it out quickly enough. They can't allow BDS to get themselves a foothold back in this. 6-4 is fine. No. 6-5 could be an absolute nightmare for G2. They want to get this closed out. Pengu, he's brought the clash again. My question is, how did they deal with what they faced last time? How did they do anything differently? Because they really struggled. Renshiro got into sight reasonably easily, and for me, they need to hold on to Piano with more ferocity. Yellow Stairs, more ferocity. They need to prevent access to that hatch. They surely must be prepared for the possibility that Renshiro is going to try to do exactly the same. I like to see this time the line of sight that I questioned being opened up above the hatch there, just allowing Yellow Stairs to be used to try and deny the plant in behind the desk on that default spot. The question is, can they hold on to Yellow Stairs ferociously enough to allow that challenge to be made?
It's all about the setup in G2. They've got to be spotting the signs. They knew about everything getting made soft from below before previously. And yes, although that hole is open, it's about landing those critical shots. We saw Shaiko do a very similar thing. So that's what we're looking out for in this round. But we know the BDS are in no rush. It took them a good 2 minutes to get set up inside a piano last time before they finally pulled the trigger and said, it's go time, boys and girls. Let's try and get this diffuser down on the ground inside of a site on the map. However, for now, it's about the drone work. It's about finding out where G2 are. It's about identifying where the holes are and what needs to be dealt with before they can start looking for it. Alem's going to strike and say, well, we know our number one issue is Citizen. Let's look at how well he's done this map, get him off the table, and now we can start worrying more about the upstairs.
Good start for BDS there. They've struggled on the entry, particularly through the first half, but they're really getting themselves back into things. Alem, round 8 and round 10, getting himself 2 entry kills to his name. Shaiko will follow up with 1 onto Virtue, leaving us now 5 versus 3, and another round that looks to be heading in the direction of BDS, at least at the moment. There is still time for G2 here, but they're going to need something big. They need a player to step up and have one of those real impact moments. Now, Kanto is still on the board. He has the Echo to hand, so can make himself of use there. Pengu is going to be challenged and closed out, and that is too easy for LM there. And we can see Uno, he's trying to challenge as much as he can from the Yellow Stairs here, but he's forced away, and every angle is becoming a nightmare scenario for him right now. He moves back in. He's got the shotgun out. He's looking to do some damage on the close angle, but he's being challenged from the skylight there, and it just forces him back into bathroom. 56 seconds left to go. Kanto gets onto the Yokai drone. He's going to look to reposition, and he's going to need to, because right now BDS, they are planting. Renshiro looking to get things down. He's going to start that process once again, but I think this one sticks for BDS.
Livo is hiding it behind the bomb as well, rather than sticking it up on the ceiling, making it very hard for them to be able to deal with this. He's in a wonderful spot, gets a double one coming out of this, and a kill comes through for Uno. He's got to be so wary of Bride hanging upside down on the rappel, mind you. As soon as he peeks in, he must know they almost managed to contest. Just about half a second too late there. Not that it would have mattered, because BDS still find the 2 kills they need. It's 6-4 ace. Are BDS bringing this back? They were down 5-1 at the half.
If previous fixtures that you and I have cast together, Des, are anything to go by, then this is obviously going all the way to 15 rounds and a third map, because we just have a habit of doing it. But right now, I still think, I'm going to stand by what I said. I still think that there is a second defense here for G2. I think that they can find the room that they need, but BDS are certainly not making this easy for them. And boy, are they serving up an entertaining matchup for us to watch here. We're going to be heading down to Garage once again, and BDS attacked this very well last time around. Now, that last round was really interesting. Renshiro showing good persistence there to get that diffuser down. He didn't mind getting stunned out by the Yokai drones because he knew eventually he was going to win on the battle of the cooldowns, whereby the Yokai couldn't keep blasting him. And that's exactly what happened. And he knew that he had the cover in place, exactly what was needed to prevent Uno pushing into the site to make a challenge onto him. And it was really well played by BDS.
Downstairs we go for round number 11. It's feeling close. That map 3, that cafe is starting to loom over us. And back at the very start, I think the analyst sat there and said this feels like a big BDS draft win. And I would have agreed, seeing how things shaped up for them. Theme Park being the great unknown, Consulate leaning towards BDS, and Cafe most definitely going their way would be enough, I think, to scare any G2 fan and think, oh God, what have we just walked ourselves into? But with how the last two maps have gone, I think it is very fair to say that G2 look like they are on a bit of a different level so far today. BDS very close to catching up though. 2 more rounds, we see that overtime. They can't win outright, of course, let's not forget. So it will have to go into overtime. And like you say, Ace, that almost feels like something we are destined for. It's a bit of a caster curse that we have in the UK. It's being carried across to the games in Europe as well.
If we take it around the world with us, Des, wherever we cast, whenever we cast, we always seem to have these absolute nail-biters. If you see us on the lineup, it's always worth a watch because there's going to be a lot of tension and a lot of late-game excitement. And right now we can see...
I mean, you might also want to watch for us as well, right? Not just
Obviously,
the fact that it goes to
it's not
overtime.
just the
I promise
gameplay.
we'll try and make it fun.
Now we can see early aggression being applied to that garage wall once again, and we can see it's the Maverick that is going to be doing the work. Brede looking to get in there, and again, Des, you have to question the potential of not bringing that thermite, and it does slow things down. If we see a late round push faltering and bailing here, it is something that we will have to come back and question as to whether this could be a part of it, because right now it's going to take them nearly half of the round to get this wall open, and with no denial having been placed on there, the thermite could have done this a minute ago.
That's what I'm thinking. We said it in the last round as well, that you're bringing the Maverick along when a team isn't really looking to contest you. You haven't seen a Kai being brought along. You haven't seen a Bandit. So why is there so much fear that this is going to be a thing, that you have to waste another, potentially minute? They've only just got it open. Compared that to G2, who had this wall open inside 30 seconds. It's taken 90 seconds on the side of BDS. And although you're saying, sure, there's 90 seconds left, the wall's open, so who really cares? Seconds are critical. We've seen the number of times it comes down to an execute, and even in that last round, another second or two before the diffuser goes down, that could have been a different outcome, and it feels the same between these two teams. They've now opened up their little runway straight through if they want to get themselves behind the white van. The wall still isn't fully open, mind you, so I'm slightly worried again that we're now 2 minutes in and we're still not seeing a clean and straight path to run through for a plan.
Well, that was the other thing I was going to mention, Des. You've hit it before I did. Look at the opening that they've gained. It seemed to be a grenade hole in the wall. It's not clean. It's, you're fraught with danger there. Kanto shutting down Shaiko to open things up, and this is not a good start for BDS. They don't have a clean path into sight. They've now got it wider open, but they've wasted a lot of time with only 38 seconds left to go. Brede is going to look to get that diffuser on the ground. There is no echo this time, but out comes the Nitro, and that pushes him back out of sight once again. Virtue pushing forward from Pipes there. He's getting
Virtue.
Seriously aggressive. Kanto it will be
what?
to get the kill onto Renshiro. Citizen onto Brede. And right now, this is all going in the favour of G2. This is the moment. This is the point in time where they take BDS out of the EU major upper bracket and send them down to a meeting with Rogue in the lower bracket. Surely, Rafal gets one. Can he get two more? He's going to have to. Shots rain into the Mozzie. Uno it is who will take damage, and we can see now with the clock ticking down, Rafal has no choice but to try and get that diffuser down. Shut down by Uno, and G2, they win in two, and they go through to that upper bracket matchup with Virtus Pro.
Whoa, Virtue with the hero playing that final round, springing forward into action from Pipes, getting himself down behind Black Car and saying, you know what, no, you aren't allowed inside the building. I'm contesting this doorway. How dare you step foot into our domain? Wonderful stuff out of G2, showing some much needed aggression to close this game out. And you were absolutely right. It felt like we were starting to see the game creep back in for BDS, but they will be relegated down to that lower bracket for that matchup against Rogue. What a series that sounds like in its own right. When they last played on Oregon, it was an absolute screamer. It could well turn out to be the same, but let's not forget, G2 is here. G2 face off against Virtus Pro in the next upper bracket final. What a game. Honestly, any matchup out of these 4 teams, I'll be ready for it any day of the week.
That's why I was so excited coming into the EU Major. I looked at the teams on the cards and I just thought it really doesn't matter who goes through, who drops to lower bracket. We are going to have huge game after huge game. And for me, Consulate there being the better of those 2 maps, it was entertaining on Theme Park as well in its own way. But for Consulate, just really felt like BDS were going to fight their way back into it. But ultimately, Citizen and Virtue, they take G2 over the line. 21 kills they had last time they played on Consulate. They bettered it 23 this time.
Citizen has been an absolute monster in both of these games, whether it's on the IQ, whether it's fragging out mid-round. Wonderful play from him. UK Massive, my friend. You keep up with that one. Let's go over to the analysts, though, and get their thoughts on what has been a very interesting series, no doubt with much more to come.
G2 run away with a victory in this one. We had a lot of expectations with BDS coming into this match, but it seems like the top 2 teams in Europe have been knocked out of the running of the top side of the bracket. Both Rogue and BDS will have a chance, one of them that is, to fight back through the lower bracket. Though guys, map 2 definitely way closer than our first one.
It was definitely way closer, yeah, but we still started out with a very strong first half of G2. I believe it was a 4-2 at the half, and you're like, well, this could just as well become a very quick 2-0 game right here.
Yeah.
Well, BDS wasn't done fighting yet. An Ace of LM's definitely in there, but I think they were a little bit too late when they started kicking back into the gears, weren't they?
I look at it this way, 5-1 on console at the half advantage for G2.
Oh.
And BDS started fighting back on their attacking side. Both teams looked very comfortable on their attacking side on console.
I think what this shows is G2's prep. G2's back of house work, it coming together on the play day. We know that they're a team with the support stuff that we talked about during the map bans at the very beginning that knows what they're doing. They do so much preparation, so much work. They, in a way, that support staff defined what every team's support structure was going to turn into and well, this is it in full swing. The fact that they're able to get the diffuser down almost every single round across their attacks here, that they're able to be so consistent on their attacks where other teams are faltering and failing. You think of the first game we had today and you compare it with how consistently the objective was being taken over and reprimanded by G2. That is just their prep. That is their practice. They knew the strategies and they knew how to pull them apart, and obviously they knew how to get the win.
Well, quite understandable. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. I have to say, though, some of the attacks of BDS, especially the top floor, G2 wasn't really prepared for the execute that BDS brought. Was no one, for example, contesting from below in piano, no C4s to use there, and that meant that 2 of these attacks were basically won by BDS due to the fact that G2 wasn't prepared on actually dealing with it. But overall, yes, the attack of G2 was very confident, very strong, and eventually won them this matchup as well.
Definitely looks so, especially on Theme Park. But we have our interview ready, so let's have a quick chat with the most attractive man on this continent, Uno.
Hello.
There you go. Uno, how are you doing?
I'm alright. How about you?
Good. It's been a while since seeing you on here. It's always you in the background, but finally here in the foreground in front of us to talk a bit about this match. You go in versus BDS. A lot of people have high expectations of both of the teams. There's the quote-unquote rivalry between the 2 squads. Going into it, how confident were you? The preparation with Shaz and the crew behind?
We were really confident. Obviously, Team Park was kind of that we knew they haven't played it, but
I love Kento's a great dancer, by the way. Let's just put it out there.
Yeah, but yeah, we were confident. It's good prep. We trusted our own game. Big balls.
Great plays from the entire squad. But one thing that actually Hap was talking about, and like for me to ask you about, since the last time you played BDS during the season, it was day 4. It was on Clubhouse. BDS ended up with a victory 7-5. Now today, it really didn't look like BDS were able to get back at you throughout the whole series in the 2 maps. What was the evolution of G2 since that playdate and until today?
Clubhouse. That was the evolution. We didn't play Clubhouse.
Fair enough. I mean, is it just Clubhouse, or is it overall you guys changing something with the way that you're playing?
Now, obviously we have been practicing a lot after the first split, and we drew a lot of games, only lost one, obviously the BDS, which in my opinion we should have won, let's not talk about it. Anyways, we've been practicing a lot for this. We prepped really well, everybody was confident. It's all it takes, honestly. Trust your own teammates, trust your own game.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? You have some of the best players, the biggest stars, and you bring in Virtue, has been playing very well with you guys. Now, when you looked at the map pick ban, the theme park, consulate, and cafe, was this for you pre-planned, that Shaz 400 IQ big brainness in preparation for the game?
Yep.
In what way? Describe it. I know you're a man of many words.
I can't give too much away, but we have our ways.
You have her ways. So you're trying to tell me that Shaz looks at data from previous games and what you guys are comfortable with and actually can predict how the match is going to go. Wow. Maybe, should probably hire him as an analyst or something. He sounds like a great guy.
No, it's Shaz and Sua, both of them.
Yeah, Sua is your cook at this point. I don't know what else he does. Right? I mean, at least he's got good food. I can tell you that much. Maybe one day.
He did some good food for us today.
What did he make you?
What are those, brownies?
Ooh.
Some sweets. Could keep
Good.
going, but
Good brownies. Is there some energy drink built into those brownies or something that we don't know about?
no, we had our Red Bulls here.
I can very clearly see it. All right, Uno, in the end, Console was a bit more difficult than Theme Park. It was 5-1 going into the second half. What was going on there? BDS getting those 3 rounds that they did on their attacking side. Was it more you guys feeling more comfortable as trying different things, or was it just BDS overpowering you on those attacking rounds?
It was definitely BDS. The Amaru pick was kind of spicy. How they used it, go for the plants
the IPA.
Going without rappelling in windows and stuff, getting into plant positions. That definitely like caught us. And we tried to adapt on it that one round with holding yellow more aggressive, but then we died everywhere else. So, but yeah, the Amaru pick was spicy. That was well played from them. Happy that we closed it after all. Anyway.
Yeah, well, you guys are going to be advancing forward, facing off against VP. The usual G2 question is, does it matter who you're playing against?
No. I could quote Fabian here, but I rather not.
I don't think many people would like to quote Fabian. Let's just put it out there. Anything you'd like to say to all the fans of G2 that have been around for so long at the end of this game?
Nothing else, but thank you for everybody who's supporting us. We will see. We see all the messages, even though we don't respond to them always. But thanks for the support, and let's hope we can bring this home for you and for us.
All right. Thank you so much, Uno, Kitos. Thank you so much. We'll hope to see you tomorrow at our next game against Virtus Pro. Until then, hyvää iltaa. Bye-bye.
Hyvää iltaa, moro.
There it is. From the man himself, a man of many words. Fins are definitely not. I can tell you that.
I like that it's having our own Kimi Räikkönen on the scene.
Yeah, very basically.
Wow.
The man of
we win.
a few words, but they're so perfect. It's just like great. I love it.
It's enough. It's definitely enough. You don't have to speak many words to have an impact,
Hey,
right?
Why say many words when few words do trick?
Do the job on the track.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what they did today.
Let's just not go deeper into Kimi Räikkönen references, because there's some that I don't think are too great for the show. Though G2 at the end of the day, victorious. Looking at how they're playing today, how do we set up their game against VP tomorrow?
I mean, what I think we saw today from VP was great aggression, and it was a fire that they've burnt before. They've used a similar thing when they were Forza to get through brackets where it was a bit unexpected. And I know we're saying they're underdogs, and I know they're not really underdogs because they're still in the top 4 bracket, but they came through at the lowest bit. So in that position, you're the underdog. It's the argument of last time they were stopped was a team like G2. Oh, it was G2 that was prepped. They were able to battle back and they knew what they were getting into, and they had the level-headedness and the Iceman cool to be able to stop it in its tread and keep their hands in control of the map. And if they can replicate that tomorrow, if they can keep the pace that they needed today, Virtus.pro might find themselves in a bit of a tough game.
You got to keep in mind as well, G2 now has 3 maps of Virtus.pro to prepare themselves on, and well, they themselves only played 2. In the first map, Theme Park, they were absolutely untouchable, right? No one could, there wasn't a single point of damage that could be put into them there. They looked a bit more vulnerable during Consulates. There might be something you can get out there. See, for example, there's a Maro plays might be helping you, but G2 definitely has a lot more material to study.
Well, let's see. As Uno was saying, in his mind, it doesn't really matter who they play against, but that game is for tomorrow. We'll remind everybody watching from home that there's still one more game to go, a best-of-3 series after this short break. It's going to be between the 2 teams that unfortunately could not win their games, Rogue and BDS, who are actually, as we said before, the top 2 teams in the region at 19 points apiece. So who knows, one of them only will be able to survive and move through to the lower bracket. 4 teams in total. Today we'll say goodbye to one of them, but that is after a short break. We'll see you then.